ALTBAYS. ALTBAYS. ALTBAYS.
Oh, ALTBAYS.
Peace, my brothers and sisters. We're live. ALTBAYS Show brought to you by ALTBAYS.nz. We offer video production services, digital marketing, social media management, anything you need to create high quality content for you and your brand. ALTBAYS Show happens here in ALTBAYS Studio in Whitianga, this beautiful space that we have. If you need anything, online meetings, webinars, if you want to run your podcast, just get in touch with us. There's a QR code on the side of the screen if you're watching on YouTube, and it will give you access to our website that is almost ready. So the main page will be probably online this week, which is pretty cool. But you have access to all our social media there, so you will find a way to get in touch with us. If you are listening to this on your favorite audio platforms, please share, like, talk to your friends about the show. It helps us a lot. Okay. Yeah. Show number 9.
That was a great read. That's probably the best read you've done since the first one.
Nice
Thank
and
you.
true. Nice and true.
Yeah, I'm trying not to read anymore, eh? Yeah, I think it's getting a little bit more natural. I'm here with Mr. Fabian Roberts.
Kia ora.
Well, always a pleasure. Thank you. And tonight we have the awesome Abby Lawrence here with us.
Why, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks. Nice touch.
Yeah. Our sound guy, he's always ready. How are you, Abby?
I'm very well, thank you.
So cool that you made it.
Yeah, it's lovely to be here. I've been most impressed by the quality of the studio. It's fabulous.
It gets better and better every show we do. Yeah, I see.
It is true.
Some cactuses, some very lovely mushrooms that they spun before, didn't they?
Yeah, man, they move.
I won't jinx it. The first time I touch it, it'll just smash on the
Yeah,
table.
don't.
Yeah. And I'm sure you can find big ones like that. You just gotta pay attention.
For those of you that track the podcast, we also have some bougie here, some louder ASMR food. They're trying to get crunchier. Please continue to bring in your suggestions of what types of loud food they can offer guests.
We try to make everyone happy, so
Absolutely.
ASMR might be a niche for us. We're coming soon, guys, so be ready for something amazing.
Untapped market.
Oh, yes. What's happening in Whitianga, Abby?
Quite a bit.
Yeah?
Yeah, lots going on in Whitianga, as usual. Nice that things are going on again. It was so quiet there for a while, obviously with borders up and all of that tragedy that's sort of befalling upon us. Went to Auckland over the weekend with a group of friends and had a real eye-opener at how protected we are in Whitianga. Yes, there's a lot going on and everybody is feeling it, but walking up Parnell Rise and going through Newmarket and seeing every second shop has a for lease sign on it, or is closed, due to unforeseen circumstances. You can cross the road without having to look at all. There's no traffic, there's no cars. It was really confronting for us to see. And obviously we haven't been to Auckland for ages with what's going on, and to go up there and see it from having not been for 18 months to how it is now. Yeah, we're very, very lucky to live in Whitianga.
Right.
Very, very lucky.
How long have you been living here for?
On and off for pretty much most of my life. Did my schooling here, went away, came back, went away, had a couple of children very quickly, and then came back to obviously be closer to my mother. Good. Yeah. So no, love.
Cool.
Best thing coming back. So glad we did. Got out of Auckland 2013, made the move back here, and yeah, absolutely best thing we ever did.
2013.
Yeah.
Pretty much same time as me. That's cool.
Yeah.
Was Dad here the whole time, your father?
Yeah. Mum and Dad been here all their lives. They owned the business where I work now at Richardson's. So it was an unfortunately natural progression to get into the family business. And I put it off for years and years, and I didn't want to do it because I was sick about hearing it all my life. But then I guess a lot of it stuck because as soon as I started, I knew exactly what I was doing. And yeah. So all that good stuff.
So how long has the business been operating for? Oh, it's a
Dad started working there in 1984 when it was Stan
1984.
Holland. So the office had been open prior to that. And shortly after that, Colin Richardson, a very, very cool guy from Thames, bought them out. And yeah, brand's been going now for basically best part of 60 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which is very, very cool for just a little brand for the peninsula. Yeah, 60 years the brand's been going now.
I was thinking about that. Is it a business that is now it's all over New Zealand, or it's more?
No,
it's
we're
here?
regional. So our brand's got like 10 offices on the peninsula, like Cook's Beach, Matarangi, Coromandel, all around the place. But no, we're very, very much Coromandel specialists. We don't have satellite offices in any other towns. We stick to the turf we know. Yeah.
Sure. Do you see?
Jeez, yeah.
Well, obviously there's potential, but like, would you like to expand? Is it something that you envision as someone who is?
I liked the idea of it a few years ago, like having my own brand and my own company. But there's so much more paperwork now, anti-money laundering legislation, all the privacy. It's just, with all the compliance that's in there now, I'm just happy being a grunt on the ground. My ideals of having my own brand and logos and no, not anymore.
Did you have a brand name and a logo designed?
Oh, in my head, absolutely. I used to tinker away with it, and then I saw what it actually takes to run a business as opposed to just being a salesperson. And then I just thought, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Yeah.
Jeez, I'm finding it hard to talk here. You are beautifully spoken on the mic. You're an absolute natural in this.
Pro.
This isn't even my video voice. I have a specific video voice that I use when I do property videos.
So I think ALTBAYS.nz is gonna get in touch with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
I'm so conscious of not sounding like Lynn of Tawa, like got a good Kiwi accent, and everything's choice. Yeah. So if I start sounding British or potentially Irish, rein me in.
So because I know you, so I know that you usually the face of the business. Like if there's an advertisement or something, you always there. Have you ever done other things like performing?
Oh, absolutely. I've done a lot of performing arts at all
Nice.
various things, and there's very few stages that I won't get on. No, I've always loved it ever since I was a kid at school in the productions and things like that. I've just always...
what's a jam? Are you a singer, dancer, actor, all of the above?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, with all the singing I've done, I wouldn't get up and try and belt out Whitney or anything like that. But
Unless it's karaoke.
yeah, no, not even then.
Oh, jeez.
Not even then. No, I like all music, but I know what my voice can and cannot do. And yeah, Whitney, Celine, power ballads. Yeah, I like 80s, like double air grab power ballads, but not Whitney style power ballads. That's not my thing.
And hip hop, right?
Yeah. Early 90s gangster rap, that's my buzz. Yeah.
As
randomly.
you do, right? As you love.
I love it.
90s hip hop.
Yeah, I get such a small opportunity to play it now because obviously you've always got the kids in the car. So potentially playing Dr. Dre, Eazy-E's probably not what is good to listen to the kids with the kids. But when I get an opportunity, it's okay now that I've sold my mum bus. But when I had a mum bus, I was so conscious that, driving down the road, spitting out some fairly grimy early 90s, gangster music's probably not the deal.
Did you get to watch some epic shows?
I've watched a lot of stuff. I love watching it, but I love being on stage. Like, I hate going to see, all the the West End shows that come to Auckland, because I just want to get on there. It's really annoying. And if they hit a bum note or you can see them make a bum set, I'm like, you see that? I just can't help it. Yeah.
The real artist, eh? Music. Well, I love having these chats with musicians because it's not that you lose the appreciation, but like you become so judgmental about
in
what's
a
happening
technical
there.
way.
So you kind of like you don't appreciate that much because you are analyzing what's happening, right? So that happens to you, obviously.
Yeah,
That's your thing.
It's not a critical brain. It's not even a critiquing brain, but it's just like subtle, nuanced brain, and the human brain is programmed to find the thing that's wrong.
The 1% wrong. 99%, no.
Yeah.
We want the one
I
wrong.
want the 1%. I'm a 1%er for sure.
Are you good at separating those things, Mr. Roberts? The appreciation and the
I'd say it depends because I went out to watched the music in London, and it was pretty amazing watching the Book of Mormon live. It just blew my
they got
mind.
cancelled here because of stupid COVID. We didn't go.
So we saw that in London, and it was just, I had the sorest face from just smiling. I didn't know what to expect. I intentionally didn't look ahead, and I was just laughing so much. The makers of South Park, and that was just
That's right.
such a great story.
I was so gutted, couldn't go.
And then it came to Auckland, and we saw it there. I think probably the week before, maybe a couple of days before they locked it down.
Oh, did you get to see it before lockdown?
Early March 2020, we went to see it, and it was good, but it wasn't as good as the one from London. I felt like, it's New Zealand. It's amazing. It was really, really good. The music was great. It was funny. All the acting was great, and yet I had this experience.
Send their B team to New Zealand.
Yeah.
More production-wise or performance-wise, or just
Performance-wise, yeah,
Performance-wise.
you want the best of the best on stage. You know, people that if they've practiced it for 6 months to a year, or they tour around for many years, yeah, that's their living. It's their job. They've got to do it right.
That's right.
It's like you don't want to have a builder go, oh yeah, it's got a half-assed job on your house. No,
It's pretty much to code.
I want the best.
Yeah.
Yes, pretty much. You know,
True.
I ran out of this, so I made do with no. You want the best.
Are you into musicals? Because some musicians are not.
Yeah, no, I love them. Yeah, but again, I like doing them. I'm not a watcher. I'm just a terrible watcher. Yeah, I don't even like to watch my netball team from the sideline because I yell at them worse than I yell at the other team, and it's terrible. I'm a terrible spectator.
So where did that come from? Because I know that Dad is a fantastic singer. Is that where you got that passion and that drive?
Potentially. I mean, I've got really early memories of being a toddler and being yelled at to get away from stop spinning in the mirror. We're trying to leave, just doing turns in the mirror. I mean, the singing thing has always helped with Dad. Like everywhere we went, we sang in the car, and unfortunately Dad always took the harmony. So I'm harmony impaired, like absolutely harmony impaired. I think a lot of it is probably a lot of sort of just inbound confidence that just sort of picked up. And I mean, music played, we got up in the morning, the stereo was on, like it was just constant music, constantly. There wasn't any real TV, it was always music. Music.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's cool how like when it comes from your family, like it's so much easier because a lot of people you ask, oh, do you sing it? No, I hate my voice. No, obviously the kids are gonna pay attention to that and have that insecurity, like if mom and dad are singing, you just do it, right?
Yeah.
You just sing with them. So you sing with your kids
all the time and just constantly say to them, look, your voice is a muscle like any other muscle. You want to get fit for cross country coming up, go for a run. You want to get better at singing, sing more. It's just a muscle like everything else. You can be taught middle C. If you can't hear it, we can teach you it. It's just a pitch. But thankfully, they've both got rhythm and they've both got pitch. Yeah, it'd be terrible if they weren't or didn't.
Painful way in the car.
It would be. But no, they're both starting to get a little bit of vibrato on their voices when they're singing now, and they're like, yeah, it's cool. It's very cool.
It's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening.
We've had to put up with a lot of practice, but they're getting there.
Well, it's a shame at the moment with schools not being able to have singing inside. Hopefully that'll change, because I came to the last show, I think, and I thought I had a few coughs at the beginning. I'm going, what's going on? I sing all day. I sing when I'm on duty at lunchtime. I sing half my instructions but I haven't been able to for weeks, and it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I have to not sing it. It's a bit of a drag not being able to perform all the time.
Yeah.
Are there any changes in what you are doing in your business at the moment? Are any restrictions or anything?
Heaps. I mean, obviously, vendors we have to, because we're in level 4, we just, level 4, whatever the red version,
Red
phase,
3?
God knows what we're up to now.
Red 3?
But obviously they get to decide whether they want to have vaxxed, anti-vax, do they care, do they not? So most of the vendors don't really mind. They're just like, look, if they want to buy my house, they want to buy my house. So just make sure you sterilise stuff or whatever. So the nice thing is it hasn't had to be my decision on any of it. You're the vendor, you make the rules, tell me how you want to operate. So it's nice to just have, there's so much division of what's going on at the moment that I'm just the conduit to selling the house. It's not my decision on how the vendor wants to operate it. I'm just there to facilitate the best deal that I can for them. So, but there's a lot of changes, I mean, most people are pretty onto it with the scanning in and the mask wearing. There's been a few times where we've had to say, look, if you don't want to mask up, you just can't come in. I can video call you from the footpath. You can stand right there, but you cannot come in.
Yep.
Sorry about it. It's not, and we can only do what we can do as well. But there's large, groups and how many we can have in a house and things like that. So it'll all be passed. Remember when the meth tests came in and people were taking all the jib off their houses and taking the houses off and removing dirt and.
Well, we paid for one.
Yeah. And then
that's all we got out of it.
Yeah, and then that new, what was it called, the Gluckman report came out and said, oh, by the way, everyone, it's been a massive knee-jerk reaction, and all of these people had shelled out tens of thousands of dollars to get their houses cleaned that weren't contaminated. And then the next week a law change came and, everybody calm down. And I'm sure when we were going through the height of that, and it was really confronting and a lot to learn, and everyone was really scared. But yeah, you just get along and do it, and one day it'll calm itself out, and hopefully we're maybe getting towards that. God, my jacket's noisy. Can you hear that?
I like it. It's a good
I'm
rustle.
trying to not move. I certainly won't
please
reach.
move.
No, I'm not
Don't
going to
move.
reach for the bouger mix. Jesus.
So interesting what you're saying. We read the crowd, right? So when I'm performing, we pay attention to what's happening, and you respond to that. And there was an interesting moment a month ago. Stu and I, we got 3 gigs. We played on a Saturday, and then the following weekends we played Saturday, Sunday, and it was just the most amazing, welcoming vibe that we got from the crowds. Because sometimes you play at a restaurant or an eatery, and people are doing the thing. Right, so you play, but some people pay attention, some people don't.
They're not engaged.
Yeah. And the last ones that we had, people were watching. They were consuming that, And I was like, "Ooh, that shows something." People understand that it's not that common now to have access to live music. So
Absolutely.
the appreciation changed, So we could pick up that vibe. Did you feel anything similar with the people coming looking for houses? What's happening? Is there a shift also on the people who are coming to you?
No, everybody's really well versed in it now. At the start with the changes and the scanning in, there was a lot of hesitancy, but it was the unknown. It was all these new rules that we had to run by, and we were dealing with it as much as the public were dealing with it. So we just had to say to people, look, we're all trying to do this together, and we, all of these codes and scans, and I've got to read this thing, and just bear with us. We're all learning.
But even more the people really keen to go and make that decision to buy a house in these weird times of the financials.
Yeah, definitely before December, before the changes in the lending. It's very hard for a lot of owners now to not still want to have June 2021 brain, when you'd list a house and then 5 days later there'd be 10 people fighting for it. Obviously now that money's a hell of a lot harder to get your hands on, that FOMO, that feeding frenzy in the market has dissipated so much. And and vendors are like, well, we've been on the market 3 days. Where are my 10 offers? That the market changes so quickly. And one of the hardest things is trying to keep your vendors up to date with what's going on, because they want it to be last year. And I get that. We want it to be last year too, but it's not. And we're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. It's a whole different, it's a whole different place that we're at. And we just have to adjust, and they have to adjust. The buyers have adjusted. Everybody just has to adjust.
Dorothy's a Wizard of Oz reference.
Yes,
it's a film.
yes.
You've seen it?
I got
cool.
it.
Just checking.
Yeah. Got it.
I saw the look.
Gotta make sure.
No, I watched that one. But good clarification. Some people might have not.
Oh, yeah. You're not in Kansas anymore.
I was going to say you're not in Guatemala now, Dr. Roadbuster, but I actually have used that one with a number of vendors, mainly certainly not my overseas vendors, but
No.
yeah.
So what's the drive to go and sell a house? What keeps you always interested in going there? And I read a little bit of your description, understanding people's stories and making sure that you're making them happy with those choices.
Well, you have to. Whitianga is so small. You have to remember that You sell these people houses, or you work for these people selling their houses. You're going to see them across the frozen section at New World. You're going to see them at a restaurant. You're going to see them at a school function. And that's what I constantly think of, because I don't want to have to usher my children down the frozen section at New World because, oh, shit, there's that person. You know, so even if things don't go according to plan, and they don't, it's real estate, you've still got to be able to look them in the eye and, you know, give them the old chin up. And when your kids go, oh, who's that? Then you can tell them instead of going, oh, don't worry, and shuffling them off because it's an awkward situation. It's just too small. Right. And you just have to be so, and you'd find that as well. You know, you just, you're always out there, you're always seen, and you have to do the best job you can do.
Seems everyone knows our names, although I do get called Leo or Stu quite often, frequently. In fact, this week.
Yeah.
Which one do you answer back to more?
I try and... if they call me, says, hey, I'm not Stu, I'm his brother. And I sort of go a bit energetic, and it's a lot of fun. It's Stu.
Do you just tell people randomly bad dad jokes just in case?
Oh, always.
Great.
But you're talking about the change in knowing people. I remember my job interview to come out here with John and Dave, and one of the last questions was, so Fabian, what happens when you're at the local supermarket and someone looks over and wants to come in a word and tries to ask you about, why did you do this thing the other day? And who of my students said this? What do you do?
What do you do?
And I was left there, and I sort of mumbled through going, well, I think they've wanted to contact me, and but it's probably not the right time. Should we make a meeting? That's it. When you're out in the community, you're with your family, you're a dad, you're a whatever. If something is important enough to bring out to school, you bring it to school. It comes to school.
Absolutely.
And it's dealt with in that way, because it's hard to make that divide. And I'll be at the playground and get, hi, Mr. Roberts, from 100 kids in that hour. Hey, I'm pretty good with names now. Pretty good. There's 600 and something kids in the primary. I've taught most of them for 4 years. I'm getting pretty good, but it's hard to make that divide.
Trying to find a way to test that.
I'm trying to find that. I suppose the difference is that if someone bought a house from me, I'd really want to make sure I did something good, because that's a big investment. Yeah, music, half an hour, 45 minutes a week is an investment in the kid, but a house, that's huge.
I read a little trick years and years and years ago, and like, let's just say 7 years ago you came to look at a house with me. I would save your first name and go Fabian 27 Anywhere Street, interest. So when the number comes up, I can always remember the property, and I can remember the people I've taken to the property. I can't remember the people. I can remember your email addresses because I have an email savant brain. But that's, so when you ring me up 7 years later, I'm like, hey, Fabian, how's it going? Oh, well, you didn't buy that one and such. Where did you end up buying? I sound like a demon, and it's just simply because of good contact storage. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Because when people go, oh, wow, you obviously saved my name in your phone. If I remember them, I'll say yes. And if I don't, I go, oh, no, I just remembered your voice, John. How are you? Yeah.
John Smith. Yeah, it's such a rare name. That's why it sticks in my head. Yeah.
When people go, hey, it's John. I rang you 6 months ago. Oh, yes, that John. Got 27 Johns in my phone. And
on that street.
Yeah. You know, it's an interesting business. People are very, it's like we used to talk about the trolls behind the keyboard, but there's something about the anxiety and feeling that people just, the trolls are out from behind the keyboard now, and they walk amongst us, and they feel free to give their revolting opinion whenever they feel like giving it. And it's a weird time that we're in now with that kind of thing. And yeah,
I suppose it's tough because whenever someone, because I've heard people in your profession, they get phone calls in the most Christmas Day or New Year's Day.
Yeah, I got phone calls Christmas Day.
That's
phone call on Christmas Day and 2 emails.
I get that you become the most important person that they need to speak to, and they demand you because it's important to them. That's to do with their property. This is their family home or future family home or home for their children. It's so critical and means so much to them in their heart. I need you. It's Christmas morning. Yeah, your kids, etc. Yeah, I've got to get this sorted for my kids, or I want to sort this out today. Or can you show me a property?
Yeah.
On Christmas.
What's the body corp of the apartment? Same as it'll be after Boxing Day, man. Leave me alone, you know?
Yes, be patient.
But that's
It's fickle. It's fickle.
Well, it's the intervention of smartphones. We have it at the end of our hand. We have the information we want immediately. And people are so used to the immediacy of getting whatever they want that it's spilled over from just having it in your smartphone. And they want what they want at 11 o'clock, and they want to talk to you on Christmas Day about a property. And how dare you not answer the phone because they've rung you and they want to know now. And
doesn't she want my call?
Yeah, and there's a lot of that as well. It's very hard to draw the line.
So I guess this access to real time information also creates a lot of real estate agents, right? From one day to another.
Everybody's an armchair.
Everybody's
an armchair. And in New Zealand, we give a damn about property. We always have. As a country, we are all interested in real estate. You don't have to just read the Herald to see how many articles are real estate based or we care about real estate a lot in this country, and not just in the last 2 years when it's gone mental. Predominantly it's not just the quarter acre Kiwi dream that everybody's heard of, but we care about real estate, and it just seems to be something that people have. Everybody's interested. There is more information at their fingertips now than ever before. Everybody knows someone who overpaid or underpaid or had a good job done or
bought at the right time.
Bought at the right time.
Classic.
Bought at the right time. Yeah, so it's an industry where everybody seems to have very strong opinions, and rightly so. They're big ticket items. You know, it's the biggest ticket item you can buy. Someone's home.
Why are Kiwis so interested in the markets?
I wouldn't have a clue, but it's always been that way. Everybody's like home ownership, that's the thing. You know, and you talk to people from other countries and they're like, well, we just rent. You know. But everybody's so interested in owning homes and getting up the property ladder and getting a bigger home and but lately that's shifted. There's fewer people that want a 900 square metre section, and because we're time poor, we don't have the time to do all the mowing and the
we're watching pointless shows like this where people just talking for hours.
Absolutely.
We're wasting away.
Yeah.
Would you
and chew bouja mix into a
there
microphone.
you go and have a beer. Would you live in a tiny house, Abby?
No, I grew up in a tiny house. I basically live in a tiny house now. It's my own tiny house, so I don't mind it quite so much. But no, I'm not a tiny house person. I'm a walk-in wardrobe, ensuite kind of person.
So
nice.
So we can check our numbers, right? That's the cool thing about what we're doing here right now. Like we have very detailed information about who are watching this show, and there's a big amount of young people watching this. So I try not to have a script, but I was thinking, I was like, well, I'm not even sure if I know what exactly the real estate does. You know, like can you take us through a easy journey of like, cool, I got land, or I want to get some land, like, or I want to rent, what the real estate does to support people in this scenario?
Well, it really comes down to what you want.
Okay.
I want to sell my house.
Cool. So let's
Take
go
me
from
away.
this.
Okay, so someone rings me, they want to sell their house. So there's certain things that we have to do to stay within the law. We can't do a market appraisal unless we've been to the property. We have to see it. We have to look at it. We have to go there.
And does that include the full room by room? Oh yes.
Not necessarily, but there's things that you just can't tell about a house unless you've been in it. I mean, you can look at photos that we have online from all the property sites and see what it was before, but you don't know if someone's done a new kitchen or ruined the carpet. Or
who takes those photos?
Because photos are taken by Dimitri of Fern Vision Media.
Amazing. All these photos is like, oh, look at the light. Oh, who put that little blue ornament? I don't know what it is, but it makes the room perfect.
Absolutely. But because of it's such a litigious world that we live in and work in, so we are very strict with our photography. There's no walleye lenses or masses of photoshopping. I mean, look, if it's a crappy day, then yes, put a blue sky in. Yep. You know, that kind of thing's fine. It's illegal in real estate world to remove power lines or that kind of thing. Okay. But you can Photoshop out someone's wheelie bin, you know, but it's so easy to get done for misrepresentation, for misadvertising and things like that. Like when people walk in, it has to be a true account of what they see. And as an agent, for someone to walk into a home that you're selling and say the words, "Oh, it looks so much bigger in the photos," like, Because you're just doing yourself.
Yeah.
It's a better thing to have someone walk in and go, oh, wow, it looks way better than it does. And that's what you want to go for, because you want people to be excited and happy to be in the home.
Is there a strategy behind that? Like, so you take the photo, then you go, okay, and now we'll actually put on the real nice seat covers or the nice cushions or the...
Oh, look, and that's the thing.
There's a business for that, right? Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So if anyone's looking at, selling their home, you get more for staging. You always get more money if you stage it. Hard to do if you live in the home and you have children. That's impossible.
Yeah.
But yeah, staging a home always brings you higher money. It just simply does, because it's the scale of the furniture's perfect, the colouring's perfect. It makes you want to live there.
Right.
Your own furniture might be absolute crap, but when you walk in and you see the staging, you're like, oh, this is so nice.
Yeah.
And that's why it always pays dividends. And that's the thing. The more you do before you go to market, the more money you get after market.
Right. So that's all your part of the job. Like, you're checking all this
to a degree, and it comes down to talking with each and every vendor. Not every vendor's got $2,000 to spend on staging, let alone $1,200 on a trade me package. So a lot of it comes down to, how can we sell your house the best without making you eat rice and beans for a month? Because life has to go on.
Yep.
They still have to be able to live in the house. And some houses you can sell expecting them to be show homes. But if you're selling a family home, there's a family in there. There is potentially going to be a toothpaste spot on the mirror. And if buyers can't see through that, then that's not the buyer for the home.
Right. I get it.
It's really interesting.
And if it's the other way around, like, so if you're going to buy a house, and you come to you, are you gonna present me with? Are you gonna give me a lot of questions? Are you gonna ask me a lot of questions?
I just ask people what their wish list is. So you've got your budget. Within that budget, what's your wish list? What are the things that absolutely you must have? Things that you'd really, really like, and things that you're prepared to not be too much of a dick about.
Right.
Because there's no point getting bogged down in the small stuff. How many bedrooms, bathrooms? Does it need to be fenced? Have you got kids and pets? That kind of thing. After that,
spa bath.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Detachable hose in the shower.
Yeah, all of that good stuff. Yeah, all of that good stuff. But the thing is, if a buyer doesn't like a house, cool, we'll go and find you something that you do like. I just feel that if someone tried the standard real estate open-ended questions, closed-ended questions, I wouldn't appreciate being sold a house like that. So, if people pull up to a house and they're like, I don't even want to get out, cool, thanks for not wasting my time. Let's drive on and find you something you do love. Because it's such a big deal, not just in a financial sense. For people to buy a home is such a big deal.
Yeah.
To move, and selling a house or buying a house is the easy bit. It's the moving, it's the transferring all the utilities and mail and
boxing and then unboxing.
Yes, that's the thing. That's the hard bit. What I do, I just do the glory easy bit, really, because it's the reality of the move that is the hard part.
Right.
Like people saying, I want to downsize. Yeah, only on paper. Most people don't want to downsize because they have to get rid of their stuff. And we all have so much stuff. When someone's been in a house for 5 years or more, there's a lot of stuff.
Do you have a lot of stuff?
I live in a house that's a matchbox. So after the first lockdown, even though I live in a matchbox, obviously got a bit claustrophobic, as you do after spending all that time at home. Filled up a skip bin. Blowy dropped us a skip bin up after lockdown. We filled a skip bin out of a house like the size of a matchbox, but I needed to shed. I'd been in there, all of the stuff needed to go. I'd been living in this tiny house for, how long was the first lockdown? 6 weeks or something?
It was longer than that. Must have been seven and a bit weeks.
Yeah, at least 6, I would say, 6 or 7.
Because we did really well until Easter. Everybody, like the first 3 weeks was fine. Everybody baked.
Yeah, 26 of March, 2020.
Yeah.
The
Son's
garden.
birthday.
Yeah, everybody baked and did all the good stuff.
It's actually, we bought our first home the first day of lockdown.
Yes, you did.
And so we had to cancel all the cleaners for the rental. The people who bought it had to cancel the cleaners we're going into, so we were sort of cleaning 2 properties out because we rushed it. Can we get in there as fast as we can?
Yeah.
Thank you, please. Lawyer, real estate. Bank. Oh, It was a nightmare.
When the press conference was on, and it was just like, right, so from tomorrow, by the way,
Yeah,
and we're like, what? So what? What?
it was pretty frightening.
It was just so unknown. You know, I must have spent the first 3 days just on my phone constantly, just gorging information, trying to get my head around it. You know, and the kids are like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't even know. I didn't even know what to tell them. It's just, we're just going to stay home for a bit. And
We had that experience of, because it happened at 2:30 or something in the afternoon, the announcement was made, because I had just got a class for the first time. And I was just meeting them. Only about 12 of them were there that day because, you know, there'd been a few cases in Auckland. And so a few families get away. Oh, nice to meet you. Hi, my name's Mr. Roberts. You got devices? Cool. Oh, there's an announcement. Headline, going to lockdown at midnight tomorrow night.
Whoa.
So we're going to be going online. Can you guys all try and log into your email? And how are we going to set this up? Because we just spent half an hour trying to set up how we talk to each other, how to Zoom call or Google. What's the Google Meet?
Google Meet, Zoom meetings, Google Meet.
Yeah. We weren't prepared.
Oh, and nobody was. I mean, you couldn't even, being physically prepared was so much easier than being mentally prepared. Nobody knew what was going on. You know, by the end of the lockdown, the girls were bringing my laptop to me going, can you just do the thing where I can see another face, please, Mum?
True.
You know, gladly. It was.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Second time, much better. Really,
ruled it.
really slick, really slick.
Ruled it.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Well, it taught us a lot, about like what it is, you know, like what that appreciation for what you have in the moment, and what really matters, you know, the people who are around you and what do you do, you know?
This lockdown for, I think, all real estate salespeople was much harder because in the first lockdown, we were at home, nobody knew what to do. We were kind of allowed just to be with the kids and be at home and be a family. But this lockdown, we were expected to, apart from take people to houses, be able to operate as if we were at work. And for most of
with your kids at home.
Exactly. You know, and that part of it, I mean, I'm lucky. My partner is absolutely amazing and does the schoolwork with the kids while I can go off and play in the caravan on my laptop and do some work. But second day, I ran out of ink for my printer.
Second day, no ink. And they're like, oh, can you print that agreement out? And no, I can't. And then it was worse because I was having to ask other people in other branches and managers and CEOs who had printers, hey, can you do all my work for me, please?
It'd be funny though if you sent it all. I don't know black. All I have is colours. You send this beautiful fluorescent coloured, multicoloured pictures.
22 pages of a cyan agreement coming at you.
True.
Yeah, and
brilliant.
That was the thing about the expectation of being able to operate as if nothing had happened, being at home, trying to keep the kids sane without too much screen time.
And then again, we link it back to what you said about Auckland and, thank fuck, we're here. So good that we're here.
Imagine living in an apartment.
Yeah.
On the 9th floor of somewhere, which is rad normally, you know, rad.
Look at that view of no one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. All of the apartment buildings that are usually teeming with students and teeming with international students, there's no lights on. They're all empty. And it's dark. Like the cityscape is so dark. You see that one?
Yeah, we're counting.
I thought you might. Yeah, it was really bizarre.
Was that interest from overseas, especially during lockdowns in inlands in New Zealand? Did you notice?
Well, we can't.
No,
internationals haven't been able to buy in New Zealand for a couple of years, which thank God.
So can you take me through that? Because I heard, but I don't know how it works. What's the deal with
government
that?
changed the goalposts a couple of years ago and just said, right, if you're not from New Zealand and you're not a permanent resident, you're not buying land here unless you're like Peter Thiel or Shania Twain or someone.
So there are exceptions.
Well, yeah. So you're allowed to come in if you've got like squillions of dollars and can provide X amount of jobs and put Y into the economy. But for your average man overseas, you can't buy land in New Zealand anymore, which there seemed to be quite a big kick up, which was bizarre because it was less than 2% sort of international ownership anyway. But imagine what had happened when the world went into a global pandemic and anybody sitting in any country in the world could buy property in New Zealand. there would be no New Zealand left for New Zealanders to buy. It's hard enough as it is because of what's happened to prices, but we would have no country left for New Zealand ownership if that had happened, because if you're living in a country where you get £3 to our dollar, we get three, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then you could come over here and have a wonderful home and buy up easy and just come. So what seemed to be a bit of a knee-jerk reaction at the time, in hindsight, being what it is, it was fantastic, and retrospectively looking in a global pandemic.
Right. Because it feels pretty, like, I don't know, it's just my perception. I've been here for 9 years, and I even wrote an email to the school the other day that I was saying, I've been here for 9 years, you know, like, and I'm a resident. So I got my pig with all the coins that I saved, you know, and I'm like, cool, let's buy a house in New Zealand. Like, couldn't afford 2% of a house, you know? So that's so you're looking to all my investments, to all my savings in New Zealand. And then I keep thinking about it. I'm like, is it just me? And then I talk to the young people around here, and it's not just me. At least I'm not alone on that one. Do you see future? Do you see something good shifting? Is there hope for the people who have no... the parents don't have home. They cannot rely on inheritance.
I would love to say yes.
Yeah,
I would love to say yes. I just don't see how it's possible. I mean, house prices don't drop. Like, they may have like 2 or 3% in 2008 in the GFR, and it was a nice little 5-6% dip. But in 2009, off they went again, and then they stagnate for a bit. Off they go again. It used to be a 7-year cycle, but now it seems to be every 4 or 5. And obviously we've been through a huge jump in the last couple of years for no other reason than supply and demand. We had all the normal people looking, and then we had hundreds of thousands of other people looking because money was cheap, and it was better to put it into a house than to leave it in the bank. So then there was double the people looking in the market. Normally in Whirianga, pre-COVID, we would have 130 houses on Trade Me, 140, including all of the different brands, private owners, private sellers, all of the different builders who sell their speckies as well. After COVID, we got down to 30 houses. 30 houses, supply and demand. Perfect storm for real estate. No houses to buy. Twice the amount of people looking, not just the normal crew, but all of the other World Hill crew that didn't go overseas, had all this money lying around, put it into a house. And it just went crazy for supply and demand reasons only.
And they've gone up so high that, you know, my wife and I are buying, we set that Trade Me alert, and any properties that come up under this, under this money, what's going to come up. We used to see, 15 houses at a time. Oh, okay, that's kind of cool. Or this section fits in there. But I think I've had one email in the last sort of 3 or 4 months, and it wasn't even fit in the price bracket. It was priced by negotiation. But where are all the houses? 'Cause I'm assuming some of them are above my email settings.
Because we thought after the first COVID, Auckland's going to get hammered. A lot of business owners in Auckland are going to need to sell their batch or second property in Whirianga to put that money into their business. And we kind of expected there to be this onslaught of listings and the kind of the lower categories. It didn't happen.
Is the opposite true, that people came out here from Auckland?
We're seeing a lot more than we've ever seen, and it's odd the areas that it goes in. Like, we were getting a mass influx of people from Kati, like masses of people, and so many people that we were selling houses to in Whirianga were going to Kati and Aotearoa as well. But a lot of people have realised after the first lockdown they can live in Whirianga for 4 days a week, operate online, maybe go back to Auckland for a couple of days of meetings that can't be done by Zoom. And there's a lot of that happening now, So the one silver lining of all of this COVID bullshit has been people's dreams and life goalposts have changed, and being in the rat race isn't as attractive as it's been, and they can take their money out of their golden Auckland homes that are worth stupid amounts of money and bring them down here, buy something that's pretty nice, get a bit of money in the bank, nice cruisy rural school, go back to Auckland for a few days a week, and as long as they can keep that Auckland income coming in, that makes living obviously in our beautiful town, way more attractive. The stuff locked down in the city, I don't know how they did it.
Yeah. So what should we be asking our government to do to the people who need? Because one of our guests who is coming in a few shows, he deals with I think it's the board of the public housing. And he was explaining, I don't want to spoil the thing, but he was explaining to us how hard it is to have land, to have government land. So what happens with that? Because we should have accessible houses, like people, because it's happening in Whitianga now that we don't have spaces for people to live, to work.
Oh, and
so soon what are we gonna do to maintain all these cool people coming from Auckland, and there's no one serving them because there's no houses. So and what do we have to ask? Because that's the thing, sometimes people choose not to understand politics, but it seems to me that it's a good game from politicians to keep people away from the politics so you can run the game. So what can we do? How do we say this? Like, come on, can we in a well-heeled tourist area like Whitianga, there's probably very little that you can do because people want to live here. They want to be here. We've got a massive supply and demand issue with our housing. I mean, we've got, I think, 69, 70 listings on Trade Me. That's awesome. That's what's going to slow the market down. Like if we had another 100 houses on Trade Me tomorrow, there would be so much extra choice that buyers could go, okay, we're going to look at that one, and then we're going to look at that one, and then we'll go and look at that one, and we'll make a choice. Instead of going, this is the only house available, I must buy it now. And people were doing dumb things like not seeing a house, not getting a building inspection, not getting solicitor's advice, because they just felt pressured, and nobody's going to make good financial decisions in a situation like that. So I worry for some people who bought. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that made some very rushed decisions just strictly because that was the only house that was available for them to buy for their family, to get them in here so their kids could go to school in February and whatever, just pay it. So,
It's really interesting. We were really fortunate in that our landlords gave us a good 4 months of our notice going, hey, our mother's been unwell. So Kerry and Tarn's absolutely amazing people in town. And they gave us 4 months notice going, hey, eventually we're going to have to do something and we may have to ask you to leave, which gave us 4 months of breathing room to, okay, how do we approach this? Do we even have enough? How much is enough? And slowly do a bit more reading, a bit more articles, following the market. Eventually, after a month on Trade, you know every house, you know everyone that's selling every house.
And that's the thing. It's
time.
Like even if people aren't ready to potentially buy now or in 6 months or 12 months time, go to every real estate agent, get on everybody's database, get every new listing in town emailed to you, because that way you can start, thank you darling, you can start educating yourself, and then a new listing will come on and you'll go, oh, but I know what that sold for, and that house is clearly a bit nicer. So, gosh, they're potentially asking a bit much. But it's education that's so key, because you're never going to make a good financial decision if you're buying from a place of emotion. I mean, the heart and the head have to line up for sure. You have to love it. But it's a dual decision. You can't just buy from your heart and you can't just buy from your head.
And it's that 30-year thing. You have to love it. You're going to love it for that long. Are you committed that long?
Yeah.
Are you going to keep working that long?
Exactly. So that's the thing. The questions that we ask potential buyers on what they want, you know, how much, what's their price ceiling that they've got to work to, you know, what sort of house do you want to be proud to invite your mates over for a barbecue and a bit of a piss up? You know, what does that look like to you? Do you have dogs? Does it need to be fully fenced? You know, do you need to be, what sort of location you want? You may love the house on Centennial Drive, but you've got one car and 2 small kids. It's not going to work. So don't be a dick. Don't buy out there. And there's some houses that you just have to say to people, you may love it, but I just heard your grandson say to you that you're going to get a knee operation next year. You live on your own and you want to live in a 2-storied house.
So we had Pete Newmark, and he was great in that we asked about so many properties. He said, it's really not for you, but based on everything we've talked about over those months, because we had that time, and then every place he showed us was like, okay, I can see why you showed us this place. Yeah. And so that was quite good to have not a smorgasbord, but over the months, you know, I'm not sure.
But that's what
sure.
it comes down to, is the communication. Like, he knew exactly what you guys were looking for, what your budget ceiling was. And that way because you see all these property shows and they're like, we're going to show you this house, but you can't afford it. Mahaha. And then we're going to show you the shit box that you can afford. That you have to...
And you can develop all those DIY skills you've never had an interest in, buy all the tools, and you can do it up yourself. I believe in you.
Yeah. and it's... You have to have an awareness of what you can do, what you can afford to pay for to be done, and what you're actually ready to live with. Because some people love the idea of living in a little house. Like, they love it. It looks really good. And on Instagram, it's so pretty. But you actually have to get rid of all of your stuff. You can only have a few items of clothing. You can't have any gardening equipment or, and especially because we're so hell-bent on owning land in New Zealand, everybody wants a weed eater and lawnmower and, toys. You've got to have room for the stuff. Yeah.
Is the land still the big thing? Because what I understood in New Zealand is that old houses, they had a lot of issues, like, so humidity, like we had a major one with humidity and it was not good. And then someone had to break a wall and then it was like all this black mold and they were like, God damn, whoa. And then people were always talking about that. Oh, but we're going to sell the place. Oh, but then someone is going to buy it to put it down, so like, is there a big thing that people go more for the land than actually the house, or it depends on who is buying it?
It depends on who's buying. The thing about the building supply issues at the moment, you can't get jib. You can't get jib board. There's no wall linings. You can't even put an order in, excuse me, for jib for 5 months. There's very little timber, H2 treated for, so predominantly sections in Whirianga would be absolutely smashed because sections are so rare, especially if they've got very limited covenants and you can kind of do what you want on them. But now, because yes, you can build a section, you can buy a section and you can contact a builder, but even if you got your plans through council quickly, you can't get any product. So there's been a real pullback on people wanting to even think about land banking and buying a section, because not that you can get a builder for 6 months anyway, but you can't get any product. So sections that we would list and think, this is a no-brainer, whoop whoop, there's just very little activity on them, because what are you going to do with it? You have to sit on it for maybe a year, 2 years before you can get the products to go out of the ground.
The same is also for those smaller houses, because when we bought ours, we had it lined up that we could have done a build in Wharakaho. And we're like, we've got a land that they're happy to sell to us. Had to go through their committee that assess the houses, that they have the right aesthetic, the right size fence, not enough deck showing, the right type of plants, the right...
I'm doing it. I'm hitting the booyah.
Nailing it. And then my wife, she's so amazing. It's like, look, let's just do it simpler. Let's get a house that's here. We'll never get something this big, even though it's older, it's big. And I'm so glad we did. Because we got hit. But then the tiny house, they were nice. They were really nice. We looked at what they cost back then. I've got the booklet email they sent us to the project. I asked my brother, he's got a house in Martinborough, what do you reckon about this? And we looked up online and they're 3 times more expensive now. The same property is small, but 3 times the cost. And that's less than 2 years.
It's absolutely crazy. And for people that were building houses, they could go to GJ Gardner and be like, oh, we'll get that set of plans, and that set of plans and that house probably be 300,000 to build, and now you can't even look at building it for under 650,000.
Oh, wow.
That's ridiculous.
It's just crazy.
Can we expect this to come back to a more affordable price, or once you hit there, even when things kind of normalize,
horses bolted,
that becomes the standard day?
No, it was 2015. Things were still mildly affordable. Like, you could go, okay, I've got 500,000. What can I buy? And you could buy something in Whirianga. You could buy something in town for that price. It may not be 3-bed, 2-bath, brick and tile, but you could buy a nice family home for $500,000 back then. You could buy something beautiful out by the sports park. But now you can't even buy out by the sports park or any of the surrounding areas out there for under 600,000. So the areas that have been the best areas for first home buyers, for downsizers, the areas where they could absolutely buy a really nice family home for potentially 500,000-600,000, you couldn't even buy a 2-bedroom on a half site out there now. And that's really disappointing, because you see these incredible young people and they come in, they've got pre-approval, they've got a folder under their hand with all of like their driver's license, and do you need some photo ID, and we're pre-approved and we can not even afford a section now. Where do they go?
Where did they go?
You know, where are the rentals? Like, they can't buy here, but they can't. It's finding a rental, as you know, in Whirianga is incredibly difficult. Where do the people who make the coffees in the summertime for all of these wonderful people to come in, and where do they live? How do they find a new home? And it's all very well raising the standard of Whirianga to this incredible resort-like level where prices are through the roof and you can't afford to live here unless you're a millionaire. But where do all the people who you want to serve you live while you're here on holiday? And I think that's the balance that we really need to find. There are so many families having to leave Whirianga because they can't get a rental. They sure as hell can't afford to buy here. And they're having to leave town. Like, we're losing really good people in our town from our community.
So I believe you guys study a lot, so like markets from other places, maybe even other countries. Is there any prospect? Is there anything that you see like that Whirianga is going towards what happened to another place or another, that you can have an idea of what could happen, or because of the pandemic is even hard to tell?
It's so hard to quantify what's going to happen. Like, when we first went into lockdown in 2020, and you saw all of the chief economists come out with their big, lightning rods of truth, and the market's going to dip by 20%, and it's all going to crash, and we're all going to, hang on, wait, hold my beer.
Went up.
Nobody knows. And even with the situation now, Omicron, building supply issues, lending difficulties, Russia, Ukraine, all of that, you'd expect the stock market to be dipping. You'd expect it, but it doesn't. And that's just because we love real estate in this country. Everybody, and it's death, debt and divorce. Those three things keep the real estate market pumping. It doesn't matter what else is. Most of the things we do are not for positive reasons in our job. I mean, sometimes they are. The buyers come, they want to buy a new house. But for a lot of people, when they sell their home, it's not for a positive reason. And that's, a lot of human management that goes on in those situations. A lot.
Do you have something to add there?
That just got real heavy.
Yeah.
I love
Massive.
it. It's like a public service announcement.
I have a few things, but I'm just waiting if you want to get that train first.
I'm getting a lovely lesson here. You're so well spoken. It's just, love it.
Because where I was...
Watch my video, see my proper fake voice. Hi, I'm Abby Lawrence, and welcome to Richardson's... yeah. And don't say swear words.
Here you can.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
That's why my voice has been like,
whatever you want here.
in case I swear.
Please, you can do whatever you want. We're going to start the midnight show soon. We're planning that. So we might invite you again, right?
Absolutely. We'll talk about all sorts of things in the room.
We'll talk about all this. Yeah, sounds good. I love what you just said. I think that humans have this thing with consumerism nowadays, that it's really triggering a lot of anxiety. It's taking us to a direction that I don't know how the way back is going to be, like how we're going to get out of that. So when I see these things with the house crisis, of course, I don't feel like, it's not my problem, because of course I live here now. So it affects everybody, right? Everything, all the prices rise up. So obviously it's not good for me. But like, I feel that sometimes when you have money, when you have the possibility to get into that, most people don't realize that if they're not careful, they actually become a slave of that. They live to try to maintain that status. And what is that status all about?
Well,
is it
ego.
for them?
No, it's just ego. It all comes down to, in that scenario, it's ego related. You know, you see a lot of people and they want the big house and they want it to, like, for their friends to turn up and for it to all look lovely. Interest rates go up a few percent. You know, and money, it was basically Scrooge McDuck throwing money out the window for the last few years. You know, the interest rates were ridiculous. And banks were like, oh, you want $1 million? It was like Oprah, a car for you and a car for you and a car for you. It was crazy. But it's not going to last.
Not sustainable.
And we're seeing that now, like in the Herald today, there's some developments up in Auckland where the purchasers can't settle. The world's changed. They don't have the money to complete the purchase. So they have paid their deposit. Obviously, they lose that. But they can't afford to, they don't have the money now to complete the purchase. That is going to be a worrying scenario for Auckland. Because money was cheap and a lot of people were like, yeah, I'll give you what you want.
Just back on that, about must be a month ago, we wanted to get a nice car, add to the mortgage and sort of say, hey, well, we've overpaid the mortgage the whole time. We've paid off big lump sums there, trying to do it as best as we can. No credit cards, try to avoid any forms of debt outside of it. Called the banks, had a quick chat, and they had to do a little assessment, find out some stuff. They've got our numbers. And the guys, I suppose, you know what? Yeah, based on this, I suppose the most we could possibly lend you is maybe around that 900,000 or so on top up. And I laughed at him and said, you're joking. That's absurd. How could you offer me debt?
Yeah.
How could you do that?
And not just a little bit.
And then afterwards, I got so angry going, how could they do that to someone? Because luckily I have a bit of mental acuity to be able to go, that's absurd. No, I want to get rid of debt. But I can imagine people getting sucked in. Go, I can afford to buy the second one. Okay, you extend your loan back to that 30 years. You have to pay top dollar. We no longer can pay more each time. And probably to pay more. I was so angry and I had to seethe on it. I'd vent to all my siblings about how angry I was. The bank that I'm with was trying to be that dishonest to me. Well,
it's business, baby.
It's a business, baby.
Oh, man.
Baby.
Stop calling me babe. I'm not babe.
Business, baby.
Stop calling me babe.
Yeah. And that's the thing. They want you up to the gunnels for 30 years, my love.
It's remarkable. I was shocked that I thought we're doing all right.
And that's the thing.
This
Look,
is normal, but no.
That's the thing. You add an afterpay into the world and low interest rates and, you know, like people are like, yes, spend. And then they stick the rates up a few times and then people are like, oh, rice and beans now, ladies and gentlemen.
But I get the compulsion. Like, I've had the compulsion. When I was younger, I wanted video games. You know, I want to go out to Blue Ginger.
You still want video games.
I still
and we
want video
all
games.
still want Bluey Ginger. Love you, Stew and Bex.
Love you, Blue Ginger.
Love you, Stew and Bex. Blue
Thank
Ginger,
you.
it's my
yeah.
Shout out to Blue Ginger.
Shh. I'm shouting out. We can't both shout out.
Hey, babes, settle down, babes.
Yeah. So you just sound creepy when you say it.
Yeah, babe. Yeah, not fun.
Yeah, you sound creepy.
But that's the thing, Fabian. What you're saying, it also relates to the culture of giving presents to children, and every year there's a new present, and then when you're a child, you know it, that's what you get. So of course you want more. We get told that from a very early age. It's just what it is, right?
Yeah.
But then we try and get the kids to, and they got to give too, so they earn their pocket money. They make or build or save up to buy their present for the adults as well. So they try and get a bit of reciprocity happening, and that it's not a gain, it's a relationship.
Right.
Ideally, public service announcement. It's a relationship.
Yeah.
With your kids.
Parental service announcement.
Yeah. With your kids, it's a relationship.
Cheers to that.
What a show, eh? So informative.
yeah.
Wow, look at us going hard.
Fixing the world one podcast at a time.
I know, right?
Paternity and property.
So clearly the pandemic.
Not really the segue I would have imagined.
No.
That's Fabian Roberts.
Hey, both can be fucked.
Whoa,
Sorry, that was terrible.
Yes. There
Sorry,
you
that was
go.
terrible.
There you go.
You said I could swear.
You can do whatever you
Right,
want.
no, terrible
Taylor
now.
Real Time has one of those beep sort of buttons, so it's fine. The live feed is completely normal.
Tomorrow on
Oh, the joke wasn't that bad.
he was
Jesus.
waiting like these 9 shows for an opportunity to throw that. So
Hallelujah, baby. Hallelujah, baby.
Hallelujah. Great. See, we bring artists to the show. That's what happens. We go everywhere.
Get a chance to use a wop, wop, wop.
Yeah, fantastic.
That was my favourite noise to do to my parents growing up.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't like it.
Do you still do it sometimes when Dad says?
I do
something
it, yeah. I try to real estate in the most unreal estate way possible.
Good
Yeah.
on ya. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you
It's
don't
a-
like it? Fuck, I don't care. Don't
It's
buy it.
authentic,
You'll
right?
find you something.
That's
Like,
the thing, yeah.
I don't care.
Again,
Yeah,
you,
no, I-
you got to see them to be
Yeah.
real.
Gotta go there. Go there. Yeah. And even trying to say to people, they're like, oh, well, just give us a video call. Like, we'll have a look around, you know. We bought lots of property. Happy to do it from a video call. Like, the cojones that must take. So I actually like, no, you need to, even if you know somebody in Whiringa, get them to come and look on your behalf, please.
Yeah.
There needs to be eyes on the property.
There's a course, right, that you have to go through to become a real estate. Is that correct?
Yeah, it used to be you could go up to Auckland and sit in some really cheap motel's conference centre room and get it in 2 days. It was
Right.
easy. You didn't even need to speak the language. You just said, oh, yep, and nod at the right time and they gave you your ticket. Obviously, there's a few bad eggs in the business and they needed to regulate it, which
Right.
at the time, again, it was all new learning and it was scary, all of this new stuff that we had to do. But they're big ticket items, and the more training and regulation in our industry, I feel, the better.
Right.
Because it's so, you know, you read about these horror stories of these old ladies in Auckland and thinking they're signing a shopping list. And the next minute come home, key don't fit, you know? So there needs to be some protection out there for vendors that have salespeople like that. You know, that is good. Can only be a good thing to pull the weeds.
Do you learn any sales techniques, or is just about the regulations and then the salespeople is a completely different?
It depends on your training and your induction on whichever brand that you go in. Most of it, I mean, you can watch all of the podcasts and YouTube videos in the world, but you learn what to say after being in the situation for X amount of times. And that's when you learn what to say. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is absolutely nothing at all.
Listening, right? Yeah.
Or just saying a clanger and then just shutting the fuck up. Let it hang in the air. And then go, have we let that hang in the air for long enough? And then just stay silent. It's really awkward sometimes because, especially if you know they know what you're doing and they're like, I ain't speaking till she's speaking. And you're like, I ain't speaking till he's speaking. And then you're just like an hour later and no one said anything. You're sitting there in the room. No, not quite that bad. But
Is there a walkout technique? Like, so I'll just show you through, get a look around through the windows. I'm just going to pop outside.
oh,
And get out there.
totally. I just say to people, look, you've come here once. This is your second time. I'm just going to sit out in the car and do some emails. You have a good poke around. Pretend you own the place.
Get in the couch, find the groove.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, they need to. They don't want me over their shoulder. They want to have a look in the cupboards.
Yeah.
They want to check out the size of the wardrobes and open the pantry, and that's quite intimidating. Like to do that, it's quite intimate. To walk into someone else's home and open cupboards, it's a very intimate thing to do.
Yep.
And not everybody's got the gumption to do that.
In front of you.
Some people walk in on an open home and they already play like it's their home, and they're right in there, and that works for them, but that's quite rare. And most people just want to come back, and then you're like, I'll just pretend like I'm on the phone. You both know I'm watching you through the window, but we'll just pretend I'm on my phone and you have a good poke around.
Did you do that, Mr. Roberts? Did you do a little show when you were checking the houses? Did you take the family? Did you take them on a tour?
No, it was just you and Bonnie the first time.
Yep. Yeah, I've been through a few. I can't remember now. I suppose we went through quite a lot. Eventually, the property we're in at the moment, I think we went in 3 times and made an offer each time. Rejected. And then we had an offer that was matched by someone else. On the day we got it, it was a multi-offer. And then I think Steve, the guy who bought it off, he realised that some of their little ornaments had been played with and moved because my son Wallace had started playing with them. And they realised, oh, they got kids. Oh, wait, they go to the school here, yeah. Oh, we'll give it to them because, you know, we want kids here and they're like kids and they miss their kids and when they grow up. And so thanks to my kids, we got our property. Or at least that was one of the deciding factors that meant we could get the place.
That's a great segue. So we all know that money talks, but you got to be human sometimes, right?
Oh, absolutely. And there are vendors out there that I mean, obviously it comes down to the dollar value of the difference. But if you've got two offers of roughly the same value, and you've got a developer / investor who's just buying it to park a bit of money, or you've got a really super cool family, they're invested in the community, they've got a couple of really cool kids, that, you know, who do you want to give the house to?
How much license do you get to inform the vendor of these options? So, we got one offer from this family, one offer from this person from Auckland, one person from Wellington.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the better, the more of the picture that you can paint, they can make the best decision for them. They might not want to sell their house to someone with a family. They may feel so protective of it that they just want it to sit there, and they would much rather the investor have it and it sit there for 6 months not being used, because that's how much they love their house. Other people, like Steve, that's who they wanted in their house because it resonated with them to have you and your family there. And that's the thing. Every house is different, every vendor is different, and every buyer that comes along. You know, sometimes you can say to people, look, I know you want to give them 20 grand more than those people, but they actually want those little kids to play in the front yard. Sorry.
Yeah.
And this, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Vendor rules all. Their decision above all. So, you know, it is rare to find the vendor that is emotionally charged, because having a buyer's hat on is very, very different to wearing a vendor's hat. And it's interesting, when I sell someone a house and they've come through with their buyer's hat, that's how we meet. You come in, you buy a house off me, number 2. Do you see that? Yeah, okay.
Counted, yeah.
And then they live there 5-7 years, and then they ring me up to sell it. And they don't like being vendors. It's a much harder process, because to buy it's exciting. You go round, you go on all these little mini dates with the houses. But then when you're selling, it's such a different kettle of fish. And it's a very, very stressful. So I say to people, how much do you want to come on the ride with me? Do you want to know everything? Or do you just want to know when we're close to a deal? Because if you want to come on the whole ride, man, it's a roller coaster. Buckle up. Yeah, and then
I don't want to hop on.
Nah, and then half the time they're like, no, I want to get off the roller coaster now. I don't want to know anymore. It's just too stressful. Because people can be really rude.
Yeah, I bet.
And it's easy for me. It's not my house. I can be distant. It's fine. I don't live here. But to be delivering that information respectfully to the vendor is a very different thing.
Because you're going to find problems, you know. You're going to be judgmental, of course.
Yeah.
You're putting your money into that, so...
So you can walk into someone's house that they have loved for 20 years, and it is so intrinsically them.
This is crap.
And, yeah, exactly. I don't want to sell to them.
Right.
They're not having my house.
Do you have some funny stories, Abby? Something fun, like a memory they were like, oh man, can't believe I just saw
Okay,
this.
so here's a good one. I've got so many stories. I'll try and embarrass myself the least.
Save some for the midnight show in the future.
I got some real doozies. Okay. Oh, here's a good work one. So I got my new phone, and as soon as I got this new phone, I was bombarded with random telemarketing phone calls. Never had it on my old number, on my old phone. Same number, different phone. Would look at my phone, Malaysia, you know, Uzbekistan, whatever. And I'd had a particularly bad night when the kids were little and had no sleep, and woke up basically ready to set someone's face on fire and put it out with a fork. That kind of morning. As all my mamas out there will understand. You hear me? Yes, you do. So I pick up my phone, and it's like 8 o'clock in the morning, and it says San Francisco. And I hear this, hello, is Abby there, please? And I didn't want to do no telemarketing drama in the morning. I'd had like 2 hours sleep all night. Kids were sick. And I thought, this mofo going to wear it, ringing me at this hour from the other side of the world. I'm never going to see this guy again. So I laid into him with the language of a fishmonger's wife. You fucking, like ugly language. And at the end of it, I said, don't you fucking call, Abby is dead. Okay? Like laid it on thick and just got all of the shittiness out of my system to some poor random phone telemarketer on the other side of the world. Hung up the phone. felt a bit better, carried on about my day. Got to work, on the phone, and I'm on the phone and I see this guy walk in, didn't think anything of it, and then I heard him say to the receptionist, "Hello, is Abby Lawrence here, please?"
No.
And he looks over at me and he goes, "Looking pretty good for someone who's fucking dead." So anyway, he was an American guy who had been standing on a section in the waterways that I was selling, who had rang me using his American phone.
Because it's the only one he's got.
It's the only one he's got. And he'd been out for a walk, healthy person, going for a jog. Yeah.
Did he understand in the end, or total prick?
Yeah, it took a while to bring that one back in. It took a while. And I just said to him, look, I've never spoken to another human being that way, let alone on my business phone. Here's the situation. And I said to him, look, you can see by the tears welling up in my eyes that I want to die right now. And all I can do is apologise. And all the rest of the ladies in the office were like, "Oh, yeah, no, Abby's never like that. Oh, she got wonderful customer service."
Good team.
And then the guy looked at me and he went, "You should be very careful speaking to a friend of Lee Harper's like that." Oh. And name dropped on me. And up until then, I was totally cool. But I don't do the name dropping. Like, we had a moment.
Is this a death threat?
Yeah, and I honestly, I could barely even remove my foot from my mouth. It was jammed so hard in there. But yeah, so any telemarketing calls, ignore them.
Ignore.
Yeah, and that's one. Yeah, there's a lot of others, but for now that'll do.
But you know what I was thinking? That's fantastic. But like what I was thinking was kind of like one of those situations that like you're showing the house and you're doing the thing and then you spot something on the house that you're selling. Or you see something that shouldn't be there and you're like, "Oh,
yes,
let's try to not let them see."
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, I can almost incorporate a cabaret flick with my leg into an inspection to flick something out of a room. And you'd be surprised at what people will leave on their nightstands. So, not even going to go there.
Dot.
Yeah, dart. So yeah, I do say to people, look, the photographer and I are going to come round. It is possible we may need to move a few items. If you've got anything personal, please put them away immediately. Because it's awkward. It's not as bad as doing like rental inspections, because sometimes they wouldn't check the mailbox back in the day when we mailed things. So you turn up to do a rental inspection and you'd see your Richardson's letter hanging out of the letterbox from last week when it was delivered. And they didn't know you were coming. Oh. Yeah.
Poor guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you just want to say, oh, well, that was really, really awkward. Please be dressed when I come round next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
or at least inside.
If there wasn't such massively stringent privacy laws, you could write a book. A very, very well-selling book.
Do you have a story about house inspections, Fabian?
No, it's very boring.
But you always good. Even when you were living at different places, you never had a moment of, oops, okay, oh no.
No, I'm a saint. I've been wonderful. I've always been ready. I check my mailbox. Yeah, I want a good credit history. I want everyone to think I'm amazing. Then I hide behind the scenes and mock them. It's great.
Absolutely. They can't see you coming that way.
Yeah. No, I played the game very cleanly. No, it's good. I have no dark stories.
Good man.
I'm boring.
Good man.
Shouldn't even brought it up, man. That was awful for the show.
I don't
Can we
know,
cut that
man.
out, Taylor? Just cut that out.
I'm just asking.
Just insert
That's
some
the
really
wop- that's
bad
the
like
wop-wop.
TMZ story like news item in there, something really saucy that's happened.
ALTBAYS are sorry for the disturbance right now.
Okay, Abby. So, what do people need? What are the requirements to be eligible to sell your property at Richardson's?
You've got to have a license. You've got to go and do your ticket.
So like any house, any size, anything, you just have to tick the boxes.
To be a real estate agent, you've got to go and get your ticket. And it comes down to what sort of house do you like to sell. Like most of us in Whirianga, we are residential. We sell a few farms. We might sell a few commercial properties as well. But predominantly our bread and butter is residential. And that's what we do around here. And most of us stay pretty much within Whirianga. There's usually other branches that deal with Kuatunu or the other outlying areas. And as far as like the hub of the peninsula, this is where it's at, you know?
What other areas are expanding quickly? Where do you see as a hotspot for the future? Because I know that there's some development happening in Aotearoa Bay. And
Aotearoa is a really niche market, and properties out there are really tightly held. They come up very rarely. Families hold on to them for generations. They hold on to holiday homes for generations. It's a very niche market to get into, a very expensive market to get into, and rightly so. It's a very special part of the world. A lot of it comes down to where people want to be. I mean, Wharikaho in the last few years, that subdivision's just gone gangbusters. But then you look comparatively at what people pay for Cook's Beach beachfront compared to what they pay for here. Our beachfront's a pittance compared to what people pay. Whangapoa, Cook's Beach, you know, those places, they're just ludicrously expensive. Penny Clayton from Richardson's Cook's Beach just sold yesterday 5.1 million. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh. Go Pen, love your work, girl.
Do people... What's the thing with like... because we hear a lot about the sea level. You know, like things changing, like natural disasters and all that shit. Do people even care?
I sold a property on absolute beachfront. So in between the first and second bridges, we've got a very small enclave of houses there that are absolute beachfront. Most of it's waterfront. So there's the house, Buffalo Beach Road, and then the water. But very few houses come up along there. It was quite interesting. People either really cared or they really didn't about the seawall or being that close or global warming. It was either one or the other. There wasn't a lot of people, they either had really strong feelings about global warming or they thought it was a complete hoax and didn't buy into it whatsoever. So it was either one or the other, really. Few people like, oh, well, you know. And yes, absolutely, you get an easterly storm roll in. There's going to be some cracker waves come over that wall.
I've seen a few beach lines get closer to houses in the last sort of 8 months. As the grass disappears, the sand comes up, the beach is getting closer.
Absolutely, like that big storm we had down the end of Brophy's. Like the size of the breakers that were coming in over the sandbags, that was insane. Nobody's ever seen waves that big down that end of the beach.
Oh, I missed that.
It was, and what was cool is it Met Service and all of these warnings, you know, massive weather warnings, stay away from the beach, especially at 4 o'clock. Couldn't even get a park, mate. Everyone in town was down there. Yeah. No, and we were as well.
They'd be on the news,
Yeah, it was awesome.
2 meters higher and there's a
Yeah,
global catastrophe, and you're all on the news.
Yeah, I don't want to lay one out for the surfers, but man, if we got a big groin put in and to make some big waves come rolling in the beach, it would be so good for the economy, because big waves bring people out. You know, you only have to see a huge swell coming on the bay, and the reserve's full.
True.
Big waves they're amazing. It's the energy, and people love to sit there and watch big waves come in.
So how does it? I want to learn more about the developments that Lee Hopper does with the waterways and everything. Like, so everything that is gonna change nature or whatever, like it goes through like a very specific regulation, right?
Absolutely.
It's very like, okay.
So the subdivision, fairly recent subdivision down Cook Drive, the Palms. So the developer there built that subdivision a metre higher than it needed to be. Strictly because, like, no one's worrying about me and my sea levels in 50 years' time. And you have to build your houses slightly higher now than you used to. And there are more and more hoops and things to jump through and building things that you have to do. And rightly so. You know, there's a lot of people out there that don't believe in global warming and sea level rise, and go and speak to all of those people that live on the islands around Tonga and Fiji who are having to relocate to New Zealand because their houses are underwater. But it'll get there. It's harder to insure a house on the beachfront. It's harder to get insurance on a home that's even near the water. So, and it doesn't take much for finance companies and insurance to start going, whoop, you're on your own. Cut.
Right.
And cut the cord. Because it's a liability. I mean, what is it, down in Westport? They had another 1 in 100 year storm this year. You know, last year, the West Coast and Westport got absolutely wiped out. Huge floods, 1 in 100 year storm. And they've just had another one. Who's the maths teacher that works out the ratios for this shit? How can you have 2 1 in 100 year storms?
That's real things. I've heard a few talks and read a few things about how these rare events with the truth of global warming, that it's going to be less and less rare.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that 1 in 100 might be 1 in every 50 years, and then it might become 1 in every 20 years.
Exactly.
And it may not be worse, but what's been destroyed or what's been damaged doesn't have as long to recuperate or forget.
Yeah.
So it's going to keep hitting. And that, again, I imagine with those insurances and all that happening, that's a scary world I don't know anything about.
You can walk down the beach and you can see in between the 2 bridges where the rock wall stops and what's happened for the rest of it where there is no rock wall. Like, I'm not an erosion scientist. I very much stay in my lane of what I know and what I don't know, but you don't need to be a rocket scientist to work out that shit's gone back.
I love the argument. This stuff happens all the time, you know. It happened in the last ice age, you know, explain. The definition of an ice age is ice on the top cap, polar cap, and the bottom cap. We're still in one.
Yeah.
This is still currently legal, technically
Slightly
an ice age.
more livable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bearable.
No scrat. Sorry for all the non-parents out there to throw an Ice Age movie reference in there again.
You lived overseas,
Parenting.
Abby.
Yes.
What countries?
Did a bit of time in Aussie. Did a bit of time in London. Did the whole van tour thing.
You said did a bit of time. It sounds like you're in prison.
Yeah, that was great.
You did a bit
Well,
of
it was
time.
Australia, you know, convict
Yeah,
time.
yeah, I was going to
What
say.
a show.
You
What a
blended
show,
in.
friends. What a show.
It's an interesting thing to live here and to work for so long, to save the money, to fly to the other side of the world, to realise how amazing Whitianga is. You know, you go to all of these places, French Med, you know, this is supposed to be the #1 amazing place in the world, and you look out and you can, about 2 kilometres out to sea, you can see this fucking sludge line that runs down the country, and everything's filthy, and all you can think to yourself is, Otama kicks this beach's ass. And everywhere you go, because we're so spoilt here, the natural thing of comparison. And you're like, well, even Simpsons is better than this. And to spend all that money and to do, but you've got to go away and do that to realise how amazing it is here.
Were you a real estate agent overseas as well?
No, I pre-going into the family fold, I was a landscaper. Loved working
cool.
outside.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Nice.
Absolutely loved it. But had a bit of a health issue, so I had to go and work inside, which sucks. So when I go and look at a house, especially if it's got beautiful gardens, I'm like, yeah, bricks and mortar, blah, blah, blah. Oh, your agapanthus are lovely.
Oh, nice.
You know, because, I'm more drawn to the gardens than the house, which is potentially not the best angle. But for someone who's got beautiful gardens, I know how much time they've put into that, you know, and you only have to have watched someone buy their first plant and then 2 weeks later they are crazy plant lady. It's very addictive.
I think we have 21 pot plants, indoor plants at the moment.
Yeah.
And yet you sort of look around and go, there's not that many. And you sort of like, there's one. How many in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Got a few.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's good.
Got a few.
Yeah, I clocked the plants when I came in.
By show 30, it'll just be another one dangling.
Yes.
Can you get any, Taylor, do you reckon get any like dangling from the ceiling just above us so we get like the
We might
the
get
leaves?
there, eh?
That'd be really
Or even
nice.
the wall here, we make a wall of
Don't know if all the moisture would be good for the electronics.
True, yeah. We're very careful with the choices, which ones we can bring, because obviously we have to carry them closer to the windows.
That's a nice ponytail, by the way.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
And the cactus as well. We have these guys for a few years now. Yeah, so we broke, and that's the cool thing. Like I'm not precious about my cactus anymore. So like I feel good about breaking them because I know that they're gonna do exactly this. You know, they create these beautiful ears and start growing again. So we're just enjoying.
That's cool. Plants just make a space lovely.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people who buy land, they miss this beautiful opportunity. They think so much about the grass and about like the deck and everything, but like, put a little bit of green there.
And that comes down to
grow
how much time
something.
do you want to spend mucking around with it.
True. But if you're going to have money, if you have the money to buy something huge, you can probably pay someone to come and help, look after your garden and give a hand. Eh?
But if you weren't raised by gardening,
True.
plant-orientated people, it's just not in your nature. You know, I've got friends of mine who their parents were not very plant-orientated, and they would, you know, they'd go and potentially buy a house plant and be like, "Oh, come home with me to die," because so many people are like that. You know, they say, "Oh, look at your beautiful plant. Come home with me to die."
True.
But
Well, this is so great. I can gift it to someone else.
yeah,
Re-gift.
exactly. But when you keep one alive and then you see just a few little new sprouts growing out of it, and you're like, oh, I haven't killed it. Perhaps there's hope for me.
We've got one on my record player at the moment. Tara told me the other day that apparently it's going to get like 8 feet tall. What?
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it get bigger. That's what, but 8 feet tall. It's on the roof.
Yeah, no, the matchbox that we live in, my partner was like, we need to get a bigger house. I was like, yeah, I'd love a walk-in wardrobe. And an answer was like, no, there's all these fucking plants. And that's just how it is. Yeah.
Is he into it? Does he like to keep something green somewhere there?
If it makes me happy, it's happy.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I said to him, if you see any of the plants wilt, you must water them. And he's like, yeah. Okay. Yeah, looking out for that. In between watching all of the sport while you're away.
That's right.
Yeah.
You guys are pretty good, Fabian, with keeping the plants alive and happy.
Yeah, the lockdown was a kick up the butt. Like getting your first home, and I think we talked about it before, but not having to be kicked out of your rental property. You can invest in your own garden for the first time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're getting some green garden growing. Started painting, staining our privacy screens, and did some testing plots the other day. Do we want this type of green? How would it look against the privacy screens? How does it look against our plants? Sort of moving furniture around to look at the colour.
So domesticated.
So domesticated.
So domesticated.
Yeah, and then they changed the thing about isolation rules. You know, damn, would have liked those 10 days.
Oh, absolutely. That was the thing. For the first lockdown, we had so much timber at home. Lewis made the girls a kick ramp for the scooters. I made a couple of kick ramps, or half pipe. Did all this wonderful thing, and we baked, and you know, we read, and we did all of this amazing stuff. And then I think it was Easter weekend was like the midpoint to the first lockdown, and our get up and go had just got up and gone. And then the last 3 weeks were just spent just with terrible posture on the couch.
Just sleep.
Yeah.
Wake in the morning.
Yeah.
Back
And
on.
that's how it was. Like, we did good for the first 3 weeks. Now we're just going to just sloth. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty lucky here for us to have the opportunity to kind of enjoy a break. Lockdown was actually a moment to reflect and do different things.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it myself. The first lockdown I loved.
You were telling us how pandemic happened, and then all the things that unfortunately did not go well after that. Should we expect some major changes now that we're on the brink of a war? I'm sorry.
Who would know? And I think for me that's potentially the most worrying thing, is we've always been able to forecast. We've always been able to go, okay, with a few degrees of certainty, if X happens, Y will be the outcome. And if this happens, then that will happen. But if the last 2 years has taught us anything, is that all we know is what's happening today. Because at any stage there could be a press conference about some new variant, nuclear war in bloody Russia and Ukraine.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like, we're in such an anxious time with so many variables. Like, the planet's basically like the dude that's spinning plates on sticks, you know, and trying to keep all the sticks spinning, and something's going to crash. 3. Did you see that one?
I did. I think you missed one before. I think it's
No,
the
it's
fourth one.
actually okay. We'll go for 3. But no, it's such a crazy time that, you know, and we get asked that a lot. Well, what's going to happen in 6 months' time, and what's going to happen here? And I'm just honest. I'm like, I don't know. All I know what's happening today and maybe what's happening tomorrow.
So, more importantly then, what are the songs you would choose to sing at karaoke? If it was going to be Whitney Houston or Celine Dion, who are these power ballads?
Wow. Can't go wrong with a bit of Meatloaf.
Another beer
Oh.
to talk about those songs?
Absolutely. Thank you. Good pub songs. Songs that people know the words to. Songs that people enjoy singing and dancing to, and which is not really most of what I like to sing.
It's the sort of thing like, try and think of a good karaoke song. Whenever it comes to karaoke, I go, oh, I have no idea what to sing.
No.
Yeah, no one wants to hear the song. I sit there singing love ballads by myself at night, playing old music and crooning.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you want to sing to people. Oh, yeah, let's sing that dance number. Yeah.
Yeah. No. And
Final countdown. Woo.
And that's the thing for karaoke is it's so venue specific. Like it's not just pub specific. Like you could get up there and do like Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba, you know, and that's a solid pub song that you know a couple of Muppets in the audience.
Is it the I Get No Doubt?
Yeah.
Nobody
So you can do generic good pub songs like that. You know, get up.
You read the crowd.
You've got to.
I know you. You know me.
And
You
that's
gotta
why I get
read
out
the
there and I'm
crowd.
like, look, no one is going
She's
to
a pro, man.
No one's going to enjoy this song, but fuck you, I like singing it. So,
What was the last one that you sang?
oh, is it Missy Elliott?
Missy
Get your freak on.
Elliott.
Get your freak on.
Get your freak on. Yeah, man, that was a banger, bro.
Yeah,
that was
and I
like,
only sung that for
woo.
me because that's not really a pub song, but you know,
But the crowd loved it.
yeah,
That's the
I
thing.
was half cut. I just sang it with my eyes shut.
Read the crowd.
See, I always like to put in the idea that if you're going to do karaoke and you can sing a bit, you should always try and find a song that you're not 100% sure of the words on, so that you actually have to read it, and it's kind of an
No,
experience.
you got to sell it. Even if you suck, you got to sell it.
I feel the opposite. I don't know
Yeah,
if it's
yeah.
a second language thing. I feel much more comfortable when I know what's happening,
Yeah.
you know, so it gets me off guard and then I'm a bit uncomfortable.
Because
with
even
the
if you
idea.
suck at singing, if you sell it, like, and that's the thing, when you go to karaoke, you don't want to see lots of people getting up that can sing. You want to see people who can't sing that get up there and just give it shit, don't care, have a great time, and just get up there and sell it.
There's the karaoke bar in Hamilton it was on Victoria Street, and it used to be that you could sort of go in, and it was L-shaped, and around the corner was the stage, and the people were all sort of milling around drinking, but you couldn't watch from the street. Black painted walls, black floor, it was all real, so cool, in that you had to be in there to be a part of the scene.
Yeah.
But the owner bought a place across the street. Real flash, beautiful windows and everything, pot plants in every window, and everyone could see right in. So no one wanted to get up.
Yeah.
And they sold up. It would have been less than a year they were gone. Because you don't want to sing where, if you're not in the experience, you're not in the crowd, you're just a troll on the side who can boo and wolf whistle and pull the fingers at you.
And that's no fun. And that's the whole thing about karaoke is it's quite an intimidating and intimate thing to do. If you can't carry a tune in a paper bag.
So I've two of my brothers, one lived in China for the most part of sort of 12, 14 years, back and forth for a bit. And my brother Sam was there for another five years or so. And karaoke nights there, you go out to like what to us would be a 5-star hotel resort. You go up with this amazing reception. You pay these big chunk of cash that is like $50 New Zealand. And then they have a personal person in this beautiful suit who takes you with a shopping trolley through the alcohol store department. And then they take you to the restaurant menu. And they take you to your booth room with couches all over the walls, 5 screens. The table service comes in. And it's you and 12 mates for an amazing night. But it's you and your crowd. It's in the moment. And they treat you like royalty.
Yeah.
It's just, it was the most amazing experience considering what we have here in Fiddy, you know. If
And
it became
it-
a 5-star venue at Smitty's. oof.
Surprisingly, of all of the places in downtown Auckland that were shut, the Dive karaoke bar where you go in and there's like 5 or 6 of your friends and this Scotty chick comes around and takes your bar order. That was still going.
Still going. Yeah.
Jeez.
It was unbelievable.
1
That,
a.m.
that one at K Road is very popular as well. Wait,
Well,
is it the
it
gay bar? The
No,
what's
this
the name
is
of
like
that one? The
lower downtown, just before Fort Street, walking down on the right.
family bar.
Yeah.
But have you been to that one in
Not
K
for
Road?
years.
So it's a LGBT.
So I've never been there,
plus, venue, but right at the front they have this karaoke, so it's kind of like an entry thing.
Yeah.
But it's always pumping, like it's always full of people, you know, and because it's so like welcoming, you know, like people feel very.
That's how karaoke
relaxed.
should
It's
be.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
And that's the issue when you go somewhere and there's a number of people who can sing and they take it too fucking seriously. Like, stop it. You know, you're not
Get a
silly.
band.
Just,
Get a band.
Get a band. Get a real job.
Honestly, that's probably me. I think I take it way too seriously. Yeah.
But that's
loosen up.
because of what you do.
Because
know,
you are a
and you're
professional,
critiquing.
man. Yeah.
Well, I suppose I get all pent up at school, not being able to. You can never really push the limits
Okay,
of your
so if
learning at
you
school.
were going out to karaoke, what's your go-to music? If you could give the crowd a big double up, what would you sing?
I think the last few times I've been singing, I sang some Rainbow, some Ronnie James Dio, and that was pretty fun to do. I'm the man on the Silver Mountain, just sort of belting out things, or something for the Raspberries, old crooning,
Oh,
but
right.
so, just high-pitched voices of no one else can sing along, no one knows the words, it's just self-indulgent. I've
That's
grown up with this
basically
music.
karaoke fuck you. That's what that's called.
There you go, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you chose what was the one that all the singers sang together? We are the world.
I did put on We Are the World.
Oh man.
Oh, I want to punch you.
He
Did you really?
Did that.
Did you really?
I can do all the voices.
He did it.
Cindy
I was
Lauper's my one.
Oh,
Wow, 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 wow.
oh, that's classic.
I couldn't believe, but he did
Oh, I just want to
Yeah.
do this.
Oh, yeah. I've got to have one ear out. One ear out.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Got to have the hand up.
If you had a piano, you join in playing and do Stevie and Ray Charles together. Oh, what a beautiful thing.
Sometimes we have a private one, so you invited for next time
Yeah,
for sure.
no,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
fine. I'm good. It's all good.
Oh, I suppose I'm going to miss this invite. I'll be busy anyway.
But it's cool that it's happening in town, right? We get the
Oh, it's
opportunity to
neat.
go.
And that's the thing. Look, Vegas is amazing, and he's got such an incredible energy. You know, he's like the perfect dude for that. And it's even in, I don't know, level 12 of, you know, Operation 7 or wherever we're up to, it's still going. And you have to be grateful for the small mercies that we can go and, you know, sing a tune fairly badly and people will clap, and we've got places to go. And we can go out and we can do
That's right.
a few normal things at the moment. We're so lucky to live in Whitianga. Oh my God.
Do you have friends in Auckland, or you just went for a visit? And
No, number of friends in Auckland, but we just went up for a bit of a girly trip really. It had been,
Yeah.
we'd talked about it for ages and then thought, you know, just do it.
But do you keep in touch with people from the cities?
Yeah.
Do you check on them?
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially through lockdown, you know, just to say, look, you know, it was hard for us. We had a short lockdown and then it was life as usual. And to have those sort of moments of a bit of reflection and to think, actually, my mates with their 3 kids who live in an apartment on the 9th floor, they're all still alive. Go you.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, there's a lot of people that have had some pretty big life lessons and life evaluations, I think.
Less for the
Yeah.
kids in our town. I reckon, as you say, that you got to get away. As soon as kids go away for, say, a period, like the kids that go to uni and then come back in the holidays, they're like, I'm so glad to be home.
Yeah.
And yet the kids at school, like, I want to live in Auckland. I want to live as a city and a town and a nightlife. And I'm going, why?
But that's the thing, you've
Why
got to
would you
go
want that?
away. You've got to go away to come back and not just in Whitianga, but in anywhere, you know, you've got to leave what you've got to have an appreciation for it, because it's so easy to take it for granted. And we take for granted living here very, very easily. We have a clean beach. There's no needles on it. There's hardly any people on it, even in the summertime.
That's right.
You know? You go to the other side of the world and you're lucky to be able to put your towel down in front of...
That's something
Yeah,
I
that's
learned going through
Brazil,
Melbourne Airport.
Good
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like going through Melbourne Airport, I remember washing my hands there in the bathroom, you know, shuffling up my hands there, and all of a sudden it was there was a bin for
At the top, Abby?
yeah. So there was a bin for your hand towels, there's a bin for rubbish, and there's a bin for your syringes.
Yeah, man.
Who's putting syringes in the toilet in Melbourne?
Where about? Oh, Melbourne.
Just the Melbourne Airport. Just okay. I guess it's so common. I guess you don't want to put them under the toilet seat for other people, but a syringe bin.
It's a different world.
It's a
out there,
different
man.
world.
Yeah. So what Abby was saying about the beach being so busy, you know, it's funny because every year I do the same joke. You know, I know that is a bit of a daddy joke, but like for my family it works. I always take a picture of the busiest day at the beach in Whitianga, and I send to my family, and I'm like, whoa, look at us, busiest day of the year. And like, there's one umbrella there, there's another, you know, another group there. Man, in Brazil, it's just a sea of the umbrellas, you know, like all those colors. And the interesting thing about the beach there is that people sell all sorts of shit at the beach. Like food, obviously, a lot of amazing, yummy stuff, but like everything you can imagine, man, like clothing, you know, toys, and the guys just walk around carrying the stuff, offering all the random stuff to buy at the beach. Some of them, they even set up, if they're selling drinks or whatever, because you can drink in the streets, you can drink on the beach in Brazil. So they set up a little table for you. They make like a drink for you, like, you know, they have the shrimps, they cook the thing. And what's the name of the cheese? The cheese that it sells here. The one that is the square one that is yummy. Yes, I always forget. Halloumi. So they go with this little. It's like a little oven. So they get these big cans of oil, and then they cut it and they turn it into a little oven. I'm telling Fabian that in Brazil, people sell all sorts of shit at the beach. When you go to the beach in Brazil, it's busy as. I was just comparing how it is in New Zealand. You don't see anyone in Brazil. How busy it is. And people sell all sorts. So some guys, they walk with this portable little oven, cooking, like, you know, baking some halloumi and sell you, and they sell shrimp.
Really?
All sorts of
so
stuff.
when you go to Bali and you walk down the beach, and they've what we call the crocodile sellers, and they've all got briefcases that they're trying to... Well, that
there
sort of
you
thing.
go. There you go.
You know?
Don't
Or what
have
if we
that
got
here.
down here? Banana boat.
Banana boat.
You know?
The
And
coolest.
people pay through the nose to go on that, because that's awesome fun.
So cool, eh?
Yeah.
I want to do the actual Cathedral Cove tour. I'm thinking, what a nice tour. Reasonably priced at $50 each or something like that.
With them, with the...
Yeah,
the,
yeah,
Oh,
with
it's so cool.
I haven't done it yet. I haven't actually been in 5 years. Haven't been on it. I used to do it when I was little, but I reckon it'll be
You're
fun.
not very big now, Fabian?
Oh, I'm getting older every day. I'm starting to look like him.
What?
Are you morphing into it? Hang on, just a quick check in the
No.
corner there.
Yeah,
Oh no,
what's
you still look
happening
like
next?
you. Just checking.
Damn.
But it's interesting to say about the beaches here in terms of just how they're not busy, because we try and get out. We try and get out every day to the beach, and I don't know whether it's just the timing of schedules and sleep, but I probably see the same 8 couples with their dogs or single person with their dog walking, and I think I've seen one family I see every time of the kids at school, Hector and all that, and those boys.
It's probably Groundhog Day.
But that's it. It seems like
Did you
it.
see Punxsutawney Phil?
No.
Okay. Sorry, tangent.
So Groundhog Day is a movie where everything happens again and again and again with the mic.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
I'm
trying to eat my bouja mix.
She doesn't want to. She doesn't want to do the
I'm
ASMR.
sucking my bouja mix like a rabbit.
But it's that the beach is so empty, and yet I know there's 1,000 kids at our school, and there's not 1,000 kids at the beach.
Nah.
And I can't believe it, because I never had a beach growing up, and there's a beach now. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You have to go to the other side of the world to see how crowded their crappy beaches are. You know, absolutely crappy beaches.
5? No.
No, that was
But
my...
she was adjusting. That
was
was
adjusting.
doesn't count. That wasn't.
Nasty.
And what you were saying about, like, what do they do? You know, like, I kind of it's impossible for me not to connect with the possibilities to live in a place like this, because like when Taylor and I we thought about this, we were like, man, we need a space. We need a space. You know, a business that is doing something that the young people are into it, but no one is doing it, so they can come and be part of it. But we also want to run some cool events for them. You know, like we got the skate park just there. You know, like, so we want to start doing those things. It would be awesome if we could start at least something that shows young people that you can stay in a place like this. You live and
absolutely.
but then
instead
it's
of
like,
having to go, but
it's hard.
But you've got to go, and that's the thing. You can't stay and stagnate. even to go and get a better perspective, to bring that perspective back for reasons of growth.
Yes, but some of them, sometimes they want to come back when they're like maybe 25, 26, because they've done a little bit of traveling, they worked in the city. But then you start to face this other problem, you know, like the price of the rent or the house, or like, but I can go to Wellington or somewhere else nearby that is going to be much easier to buy a house there. And then you have this thing, the family's here, the family has a property maybe, but the young people, they're kind of like, I want to do my thing. You know, and you're like, damn, it would be awesome if you could do your thing here because you love this place, you know. And I always feel like I agree 100%. But it's
the restless feet when you're younger. You know, you've got the restless feet and you want to go and see all the stuff and you want to see everything and do everything and experience everything. And then once you kind of feel like you have, you're like, this place sucks. Fitting is awesome.
Time to.
But you've got to go and do it.
It's one of those cool things, traveling of the world, to eat really nice food, because that's one of the things I travel was food. Just all through Europe, there's such beautiful beer and wine and food everywhere. It's so nice. But you can bring that back to Whiti with really good cookbooks, really clever cooking and growing your own stuff, and you can make just as good food here, but the experience was attached, and now I get to hold on to that experience.
Yeah.
So I'm cooking nice food here, or eating nice food here that's made for me, and I've got that memory. So I guess going away, because you can have French cuisine here. You go to Blue Ginger and have, I don't know where they're making this food because it's incredible. But I suppose you want that memory.
Oh, yeah, the experience, man.
Yeah, and it's the experience wrapped up in the smells of what you smelt at the time and the emotions that come of it. And like when you go to Bali and you're eating street food and all you can smell is gudangs, you know, those cinnamon, those clove cigarettes, the Indonesian clove.
Yeah, gudang.
Gudang gardens.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so pungent. It's like a punch in the face when you're walking through the markets, which is that smell you can't recreate because it's the smell of all of the people and just the cooking and all of the rubbish and the on the roads and, you know, all of the homeless dogs and. Yeah. But it all comes down to one incredible smell that is so emotional that you can't replicate it. Like you can with food to a point, but then, you know, the memory was around being in that restaurant with the people that you were there with, you know. And yes, you can recreate.
And you read that funny sign that they were trying to translate into English terribly just a moment before.
Exactly. And yes, you can use the tamarind and all of the things and, you know, you can get as close to it as you possibly can, but it's not like that first time that sense goes up your olfactory syndrome and like you have a realization like, fuck, I'm on the other side of the world here with some really cool people eating like octopus tentacles because I couldn't read the menu and I just pointed at the guy because I was embarrassed and then was like, oh yes, thank you, when the food like you've got to go and do that, you know, just so you don't have the blinkers that are so easy to have when you live in a small town. I've lived here for a long time.
Yeah.
I haven't been out of town for a long time because of COVID. I only went to Auckland. Fuck, my mind is blown. Yeah. I don't agree with the protests. I don't agree with what's going on in Wellington. I don't agree with them walking over the harbour bridge. But I can see why they're mad. Now that I've seen how many businesses are closed, I can see how many families are ruined.
It gets the mental health of people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to, like, as I keep saying, it was so confronting. And I don't agree with what's going on, but I can understand why there's a number of people feeling the way that they do.
I suppose I'm hoping one of the long-term silver linings when 10 years down the line where working from home becomes far more manageable, or taking your business out of Auckland, or you know, maybe a main hub or an office, but everyone can work anywhere else in the country.
Well,
we've
got
change.
The metaverse now. What was that movie, that Bruce Willis movie years ago? And he lay at home on a bed and his avatar went out into the world.
Yeah, I remember that. It was an interesting one.
But basically, that's where we're getting to now with the metaverse. And
don't search it; it's going to come to me.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because there's other Google it.
I was telling you, go for it.
And now a little something from our sponsors.
I got
surrogate.
Click my fingers. Oh my God. You could not be more 90s than you are right now.
So just for our listeners to know and our viewers, Mr. Roberts really loves this show. He's got a broken finger and he's here doing this for you guys. So
Oh, I thought you were giving some random gangster style.
No.
no, it's a broken No, it's a broken finger.
Ah.
So there you go.
I'd like to know what the gangster sign is. Yeah.
Oh,
if you
I
can
don't know.
interpret this, I don't know what I did. I think I did this.
Probably just really upset someone using New Zealand Sign Language.
Yeah. I do love watching that. It is.
I don't know what you said, but I'm going to take offence. Because that's the world we're living
with
in now.
With the blasé, like.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
You've just LEG'd it up too much.
Abby, I've been here for 9 years, and I went back once to Brazil only, and that was, I think, 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time I've been in Fitianga. So when I got back to Brazil in the airport, and then my mom and my dad drove me back home, the first thing that got me, that was like that memory coming back, was looking at the streets and seeing rubbish everywhere. And I was like, that's right. That's how we do it. You know, like that's chaos. Oh yeah, I'm back. Yeah. And this memory just came to me because you said something like, oh, you know, like you go to Indonesia, you go to those places, you know, the homeless, the rubbish. Was that the place that really got your attention for those kind of things? Or would you say somewhere else that you've been to in the world that you were a bit like, whoa, okay, different living, different style?
Probably Portugal.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think this, like, I loved Portugal. Absolutely loved it. The difference of driving through Spain, through the little border into like you could go to a dairy on this side and it's beautiful, melodic Spanish. It's just gorgeous to listen to. And you drive 10 meters into Portugal and it's a really harsh language. And it's a lot to take in because you've been used to this beautiful Spanish melody of how they speak and everything's beautiful. But the difference in the people, like Portuguese people, well, the mix of Dutch and German and all the other flavours they have in their language, they're very Kiwi in their laid-backness and their heart and their givingness. And as long as you stay in the nice areas, it's nice. But it's so easy to drive a little bit inland and the face of it completely changes. And that's what really I found really a real eye-opener leaving, like, because New Zealand's New Zealand. You can drive from Whangarei, go anywhere, and, you know, it's still predominantly New Zealand and everything's kind of the same, and you can drive inland, coastal. Everybody's got a relatively good standard of living. But in Portugal, it's either first world or third world.
Right.
There's no world in between.
When was that? Sorry, just
probably early 2000s. That was in Portugal.
Right. Because I haven't been to, but we speak Portuguese, right?
But they've taken all the regulations around their drug industry.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, and that's the difference now.
What I read recently is that there's this big shift and there's a lot of attention in Portugal because it seems to be like the country in Europe at the moment, like the one that is growing the fastest, and a lot of the people, police there is still going hard with a lot there's a lot of shit going on still with
well, there's the two police. So you've got the standard police and then you've got the civil guardia, and you do not fuck with them.
That's right.
Do not fuck with them.
However, the drug policy, it seems to be the thing that is driving this. Well,
they're treating it as a social disease now. It's not like, oh, you're a bad criminal now, you go jail.
No, you're sick, man. Come
exactly.
Have it.
And they've removed all of the stigma. People who were potentially too poor to get treatment, embarrassed to get treatment, you know, even just a simple needle exchange program, you know, it changed the face of Portugal so quickly. And to pull up to all of these incredible surf breaks, but you didn't want to get out of the combi because there was needles everywhere. Like, it was awful. And that was a massive mental shift of personal safety coming from New Zealand to see these areas where you don't even want to get out of your van because the corner of that car park's full of hypodermic needles.
Just thought I'd take this opportunity to have a shout out to all our Portuguese people at home watching. Thank you, tuning in. ALTBAYS here in Whitianga.
Can't wait to go to Portugal, to be honest. You know, like amazing things that I hear from this new, you know, take, like what they're doing right now. I'm curious, and I will be able to communicate, which is cool. So
yeah, but their essence, the Spanish people were lovely, but we found them quite insular, whereas the Portuguese people we found driving around in a bit of a van tour, they were kind of just laid back, cruisy piss cutters like Kiwis. You know, they loved us coming. Mind you, we were money for them. We'd turn up, park up in the things, and it put money in their pockets to be nice to us. So and we got that, and we were always very, very courteous. We never left any rubbish anywhere that we went. But that's why most of the New Zealanders and Kiwis have got a fairly good rep. Aussies blow it because they just start doing shoeies and go nuts until, you know, they've outstayed their welcome mat. But yeah, no, I just loved Portugal. I loved the beaches. The people were cruisy. It wasn't rampacked full of people, which I loved. It was very, very different to Spain and the whole sort of Spanish Mediterranean part of it. There's a lot more third world, but I wasn't travelling around for the first world buzz. Took the B roads everywhere, didn't pay any toll roads, like paid the extra gas, went the extra B roads, because that's where you see the country. You don't see
the real people.
Yeah, you don't see the country from the toll roads. You know, you don't get a feel for it from the toll roads. Yeah. You know, even though you think, I could have driven that 300k in 35 minutes.
So for those audience members, local young people, can you please explain a toll road to these teenagers that may not have experienced one before?
Oh, it's like how it used to be in Mount Maunganui when they put that real flash bridge in, and we had to pay a $2 coin to go over the bridge.
So you paid money to drive on a road?
On a really flash road.
Oh, it was very flash. Of course.
Very flash, half the time, and you can go stupidly fast on it. But yeah, toll roads, you get there quicker, but you have to pay through.
We could probably do something like that in the Coromandel, couldn't we? Just, I've heard everyone talk about get rid of the one-way bridge, yada, yada, yada. And yeah, sure, power to you, it'll be cool. What if they just built a second one-way bridge? And have that as a toll bridge for a couple of years to pay off the bridge?
Straight over the... Yes. Well, no. I mean, I like where you're going with that, but you're just stretching that bow a little far.
Of course. Alternatively, I'd then say, okay, one of you's this way traffic, the other bridge is this way traffic. Let's just move on from here. Because, yeah, keep the old one if it works.
The old Copa Bridge was very cool.
I don't know the old one, no.
You've never... Have you not been around long enough to go over the old Copa Bridge?
Not in my memory, no.
Whippersnapper?
I barely remember university, so, yeah.
Yeah. That's probably a lot to do with what you were doing at the time of going to university, though.
Studying.
Yes.
Studying every night.
Studying the effects.
Someone has to.
I was an A student.
Yeah.
Someone has to do this studying, man.
Yeah, someone's got to do it.
What are we missing in Whitianga? Or in the Coromandel area?
Property or business?
We're missing an aquatic centre. We're missing an art centre. We're missing a base for our teenagers to feel plugged in and listened to. And we always have. This isn't anything new. It would be lovely to see not just an art centre or a recreational centre, but somewhere that the community is connected to. And we don't really have that here. We don't have, I mean, we've got the Monkey House Theatre, which is awesome.
They're doing a great job. Yeah.
And, you know, shout out to Molly and Casper. We love you guys. Thank you for everything that you do for our entertainment community, arts centre and, you know, community. But that's what we've got. You know, and that goes out to service so many different types of arts and stuff in Whitianga. But there's nowhere, you know, not just for the, you know, show hogs like me that like to get up on stage and do acting and stuff, but there's not really anywhere as a community cultural centre.
The town hall's 10 times too small.
Oh, and it's just
squeezing people
like
in,
it's
no
just
air conditioning.
horrendous.
You need wings, you need backstage, you need commercial kitchen facilities,
Exactly.
and an outdoor venue.
I mean,
connects.
we had Paris Goebel and the royal family came to Whirianga. Like Paris Goebel, #1 hip hop troupe in the world. Thank you to our whānau Leanne Rolls and Courtney Boots. We love you. Thank you for all you did with the royal family. They brought them and Paris and all her troupe to Whirianga. Like, it was embarrassing. There's the smallest stage that the royal family has ever danced on. And we get that. It's Whirianga. It's a small coastal town. But for the way that we're trying to present ourselves as a town, we don't have a cultural place. We don't have an arts place. We don't have anywhere for, and let's face it, we've got some really talented people that hide out in the bushes and come into town. We've got nowhere for anyone to really show off their wares, whether that be performing arts or, you know, other than what Molly and Casper are so incredibly doing, trying to get some traction, some tractions of some different things in Whirianga. You know, we've got such talent around here, from our teenagers right up to like some really musical, seriously geriatric dudes. You know, you hear some of these old dudes at parties playing the spoons. You're like, how the fuck do you do that?
True.
And it's just spoons.
And international drums. See a lot of those around. In your knees. Boom, 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 boom.
Absolutely. You know, it's cool. And that's the thing. Music is the one thing that can bring people together
Where do we put
regardless.
it? Where do we put this place? Where does it? Where's the live? Where's the land? Is it
Oh, well,
beyond
there's
Moiwai?
the $64,000 question. Hopefully it would be somewhere out by the airport in the industrial. Somewhere like that where you could actually go and make music without all the woke police getting up your ass about it.
Actually, you bring the $64 question. The game show. You were on TV. I keep hearing this, and I have no knowledge of this at all. What's up?
I was very lucky, and I was asked to be part of a show called House Hunters International. So we did an episode that is seen by over 1 billion people worldwide.
Whoa, that's a number.
No pressure.
So a billion is 1,000 million. So 1,000 people could each have $1 million, and that would collectively be 1 billion. It's a big number.
Yeah, thankfully they didn't tell us that till after we'd shot. And so we were, basically New Zealand got chosen because we were still open. And we were one of the few countries in the world that was still operating pretty much as business as usual. So they got a couple of film crews together, and they'd done a lot of work together. Celia, who was the producer, has worked for House Hunters in New Zealand several times. So they came over, and we did an episode. And without going too much into behind the curtain of reality TV, it's not real.
Who said that?
It was a lot of fun to shoot. It was a lot of fun to shoot, and I was paid handsomely for doing it. Whoop, whoop. And I used my non-regional dialect. But yeah, to go behind the curtain of how it's done, and you often sit there and you're like, well, how can they be doing that interview bit that they've cut from when they clearly haven't done that bit yet? Because you actually do the whole interview before you do any shooting, and you just kind of have to pretend.
It's the internal head dialogue they somehow haven't.
Yeah.
So for the people who have no idea, for the other how many billions in the world? 7 billion.
7 billion.
So for the other 6 billions who have no idea what the show is, it's people looking for places to live.
The premise of the show was that a couple had arrived from America, and they had 3 children, 15 suitcases, and they needed a place to rent. So we went around town and we found them. There was 3 options for them to rent. It was a little bit of a Goldilocks story. Like one was too hot, one was too cold, and one was just right. There was a few things in the show that I disagreed with the producers, because we knew that Whirianga people were going to watch it. And we have to walk around in the town with these people after they've watched it. So we couldn't bend the truth too far. There's certain things that were quite clearly a little bit fictional.
Regarding the place or the
town?
Well, to say that a house in Leewood Drive is too far to walk from town.
Where's too far to walk?
Exactly. It's fitty. So, but the producers had pretty much set up the storyline.
Scripted,
that they wanted us to follow, which was fine. Knowing that I was on an American show with an American family, narrated by an American. When they sent us the first cut, it just sounded terrible, eh? Because it's all, like, oh my God, and nasal Americanness. And then there's me. And my Kiwi accent. And I said to Lewis, my partner, I was like, if we're ever going to watch this as a drinking game, every time I go, oh, right, we'll have a shot. And if either of us are alive at the end of the 21 minutes, we'll go from there. It's quite confronting to see yourself on TV. From multiple angles and hear yourself. And it's hard not to be your own critic.
Right.
We have a quality assurance thing at school you learn to develop. You get observed and working, and they write down every word you say, like from the back of the corner. They don't interact with you in any way. They're just writing, and they might talk to somebody. After one of mine a couple of years ago, the word, and they just put quotation marks, T for teacher. I went, Oakley dokely. Oakley dokely. Okie doke.
Oh, no, it's Mr. Flinders.
I was so embarrassed. I've been mortified by it, and of course I wear woolen knitted jerseys at the same time. It's just, I never thought I was that guy, and I am. Yeah, I'm Ned Flanders.
Hey, so we don't have 1 billion viewers yet, but we tell the truth, motherfuckers. What the shit?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's terrible. The way that you hear yourself in reality, because you've got sound bouncing off things versus how you sound here. Or on a TV show, or singing.
Absolutely. What you put in the mic is what comes out of the speakers. It's not the room.
Nah.
What you put in there.
No. When I was a little girl, I loved Sheena Easton and Pat Benatar. Loved them. Loved Pat Benatar. And the first time I saw Pat Benatar being interviewed, it's like, how does she sing like that? How does she talk like that and sing like that? I had no comprehension that you could speak in one fashion and then when you sing have a completely different voice, which we've had stringent conversations with my girls and that guy Ezra something
homegrown alligator.
Yeah, that's the one. Because that's not his
George Ezra.
That's it. That's not his natural singing voice. And he taught himself to sing that way because singers with low voices get all the pussy. His own words, not mine.
Really?
Yeah. That's not his natural singing voice.
Don't like that word, but go on.
Yeah, but that was his words, and he taught himself to sing much, much lower than his natural singing register.
Oh, the same as Frank Sinatra, right? He was a tenor. He began his whole career as a tenor. All of a sudden, his lower crooning got the money, and he changed his whole image.
Yeah. That's what works for the opposite sex.
Look up some early Frank.
You just need to talk the right words, my guys. You don't have to change your voice. We might start another show to talk about that.
No, don't change yourself. Be authentically you.
Be authentic.
Walking through the world as Snoop Dogg says.
Here we go.
This is going to be great. ALTBAYS next T-shirt. As Snoop Dogg says.
He often forgets because he's usually high.
This is actually the quote.
Walking up to the club, but you know I don't care. Walk up in this motherfucker just to swing in my hair. Yeah.
Boom.
And that's it. You just got to walk in, swing your hair.
Let's make that the soundbite for the show.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's what it is. Bitches looking at me strange, but you know I don't care. Step up in this motherfucker just to swing in my hair. So I actually sing that to myself sometime when I go into some big negotiating meetings. Just get in there.
Gotta love that hip hop gangsta.
Yeah.
There's no way how not to. Yeah.
Exactly. And the Super Bowl, like for everyone 40 plus, 35 plus, that Super Bowl halftime show, that was for us.
It was great. It
Yeah.
was Snoop,
Dre, Eminem, Dre, Mary J. Blige.
50 Cent.
Yep. I didn't understand why he came in hanging upside down, but it was still cool.
Do you know Anderson .Paak? He was.
Yes. Yeah.
Great guy.
He's a musical savant. That guy.
Yeah. You don't know. You might know the songs. Fantastic drummer. But he sings.
He was the weird tall thing voice of Trolls. That's how you'd know him. You know Trolls?
Weird, tall, the movie, the kids movie.
Yeah.
I've only seen that recently.
Yeah.
Tall thing.
With the giraffe thing, the giraffe-looking thing. He was.
Oh, yes, actually, yeah.
That's Anderson .Paak.
Very talented. Like
Oh, right.
fantastic.
It's sort of the weird little thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he just released an album with God is session, hallelujah. Woo!
Justin Timberlake.
Oh, no.
Bruno Mars.
Bruno Mars, yeah.
Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. Very good album.
Yeah.
Funky ass.
Anderson
Very
.Paak's
good.
always seemed to float it in the background of many brilliant albums, but never really been forward.
Main drummer.
And he's coming forward now. It's very cool.
Yes. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Whoa, we covered so much tonight. Taylor, how is it? Was our streaming all good? Are we winning?
Yes, we are winning. It's pretty good, actually.
How many complaints about the cussing tonight?
No complainings.
Obviously, I haven't fucking sworn enough.
I have a question, though.
Yeah.
If I want to buy a house tomorrow, how much money I would have to have, like in my bank? Because I heard that sometimes people say you should have 10% or something like that, but some people say nah, it's better to have like 20% or so.
Depends who you bank with,
All right.
because all the banks are slightly different. So it depends who you bank with.
But let's say in a average,
It won't
20%.
be. It won't be less.
Yeah, 10-20% at least.
and that would be like 120,000, something like that.
In
Takes the average person 12 years to save up.
Okay.
Yeah. Frightening.
You
And a few years ago, it was like 7 years, 5 years.
Right.
Because how the hell is someone supposed to save up for a house? Average 3-bed, 2-bath, rent, 550, 600. How the hell are you supposed to save up for a house when you're paying that kind of money in rent?
That's right.
And living, and then paying for new tires for your car, and going to the supermarket when lettuce is $6 a fucking lettuce. Like, what is going on? And I can see why so many people are feeling really disheartened at the moment, because I couldn't afford to buy my house now,
Yeah.
and I have to remind myself that I am the conduit. I am not the cause. I am just simply the conduit. And sometimes I feel like saying, don't pay that for that house. That house is not worth it. Don't pay that. But you can't say that to people.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
It is crazy.
And I don't have much of a poker face, and I don't want to. I want to be able to look at people and go, dude, you're about to make a really bad fucking decision here. Like, this house doesn't work for you. Maybe you can afford it now, but interest rates go up 2%. What are you doing? Like, don't do it. You wouldn't go out and buy a Porsche that you can't afford. Why are you doing the same with a house?
Talking about Porsche, the petrol, the price is crazy.
It's just ridiculous.
Baby, I have a 3.5 litre V6. Don't be talking to me about the petrol.
So Mr. Taylor over there is looking for a house, Abby. If you can help us, there you go.
Not
He's
to
looking-
buy.
Not to buy.
Definitely
Not to buy. To
Oh,
rent.
so look, sometimes there's heaps of really nice ones and the doors are open. I mean, it's not London. We don't have squatter rights.
Are you talking about squatting?
I am not condoning squatting.
Hey, what a pleasure. Are we good? Yeah? Abby, thank you so much. That was so much fun. We can go for hours, eh?
Yeah, man, lovely to be here.
We're going to have you back for sure.
Cool beans.
Thank you so much.
Loved it. Thank you for having me.
Mr. Roberts?
It's been a great night. She should have my job. Stuff this. My career's over.
Sorry, what is your job?
I don't even know why I'm here. I wear the same clothes each time because it's all I have.
Okay. You're looking pretty fine in your white shirt. Did you
Thank
come
you.
straight from school?
No. The kids don't get the best out of me.
He dressed up for us.
They get the best out of me here at
What?
ALTBAYS.
Shit.
And what about you?
Beatles kiss?
I try my best.
Yeah,
Abby.
it's confusing.
Come on, Abby.
It's
I
confusing
know.
to me.
It's
It
too
is
much.
fuzzy. It is fuzzy.
It's to match the mushrooms and the things and everything.
Trust me. Yeah, Lucy's in the sky with diamonds.
Woo! And with that one, we say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching this. Share, like, tell it to your friends to subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can finally start monetizing with this because we're paying all the bills. I'll see you on Wednesday with Bill Brunder. It's going to be amazing.
Nice.